There we go. When you're looking, do the job for free. I'm a fool to do your dirty work. Oh yeah. I don't wanna do your dirty work no more. Just a minute. Oh, I need to unplug my mouse. It is time to stream. Hello, Sword Lads. I was worried people wouldn't be able to join because for some reason we were having a slight issue, but I think it's fine. I hope that you're doing well. Hello, Lemon Mint Cat. Good to see you. I'm glad it's working. By the way, someone put a recommend. I'll talk about it in a second. Why did you kill the other stream? Okay, so basically, the reason I had to kill the other stream was because there's this issue to do with Streamlabs where if I get logged out and have to log back in, I then have to put in a new membership goal because I needed to update it because for some reason gifted donations don't work out. One day I'll work out how to fix that. And then basically when I restarted it, it led to a... it just meant that it wouldn't work. It told me it was forbidden, so the other stream was like private. Basically, I have to stick it up as private. Sup, old chap. Hello. Shame my experience typing first in the chat. Mediocre. I need a new one, but it's so expensive. Indeed, yeah. It's one of the, I would say, one of the major benefits about working for yourself and doing this kind of stuff. If you need new hardware, you can say it's a tax expense because it is, because this is what I use my PC for. Or at least most of the time it's used for work, the vast majority. Like it's a streaming PC. What do I need as well? We're going to do the Wordle real quick. I couldn't quite believe the story that we're going to get into, and it kind of pertains to gacha games, because it's about that fucking Nux Taku guy. I don't know if any of you have seen it. I didn't know whether to put him in the title, because no one will probably know who he is, who's like a fan of mine. But my god, that guy is been involved in some crazy shit. Crazy shit. Flank. No, I almost started Flake. Are you sick? No, I'm not sick. Why? Okay. Oh. No, sneer. This must be spelled like that. Okay, so it's something probably E. Then it's XA. Yeah, I was considering calling him a Hassan hater, but then people would be like, oh, you're defending Hassan. The Nicandros video. Oh my fucking god, that video is insane. Voice is sounding a little sicky. Does it? How do you mean? Hold on, let me listen to myself. There. I was considering calling him a Hassan hater, but then people would be like, oh, you're defending Hassan. The Nicandros video. Oh my fucking god, that video is insane. No, I don't think I do sound sicky. Just got here. We're talking about Nux Taku. Oh yeah, that is happening. Nux was friends with Mutaha. Bro, I don't know everything about this man's connection, but that video is like unbelievable. Like, I didn't know that the guy was just uploading like his top 10 hentai plots to an audience that was like 13 plus, and there were kids commenting on his channel like, hey, how do I access this? And he was like just straight up posting like effectively pornography on his account. It's kind of unbelievable. You sound a bit tired. I am definitely a bit tired. It's been a long couple of it's been a long 2 weeks, but you know, I think I'm gonna go for a bit for a while. I'm gonna do this up until I'm gonna go ham until I'm gonna go to ham until I go to Canada for a bit. I just want to see if the E is there. It is. Okay. I know it couldn't have been that, but I wanted to check where it is. Okay, so X-A-A-N. I could only think of things that were like that. Yeah, he posted inappropriate content. Oh, yeah. Pecan. It can't start with a P. That would have been a good guess. No, it can't end with an L, but good guess. Pecan, we move, as Chad say. There is no R. Yeah, there's no R. No, I'm thinking of... It's either something that goes like that, but I can't think of anything that could be that. Neo... No, I think it's something that ends in N, like that. I think it is vegan. Nice. Nice guess. That was a very good guess. Yeah, it had to be something that ended in N. It couldn't have started with it. Well done. I couldn't get that. I probably would have eventually got it, maybe, if I was doing that on my own. Oh, I don't want to subscribe to the fucking New York Times. Fuck off. Hello, Fork the Toaster. Was it hentai or manga that was porn? Never mind. Most of us don't really care. Hentai is the pornography, I think. I don't watch that kind of stuff. I never have. You know, I'm like, you know, I don't have an interest in cartoon ladies. Yeah, I know. Like, I really can't believe that was just seen as like an epic thing on YouTube, and now he's on like a crusade against the woke and Islam and why Islam is dangerous for Jewish people. Oh, nice cup of tea. Ice rink, ice block, ice brick, ice cake, no. Ice swoon, ice derby, ice pine, ice return, ice puck. Is ice puck a word? Let's have a look. Which one's wrong? Ice bag, bag of ice, block of ice, brick of ice, rink of ice, or ice puck? Could it be this? No. Oh, no. So it is like that. Oh, I think it's brick that's wrong. And then it's... Ooh. Yield. Okay. Yield, net, gain, bag. That is... I think those are right. No. Oh, it's not yield. I fucked this one. Swoon, yearn. Ooh. Puck is for hockey. Oh, I think it is net, return, yield. Net, return, yield, gain. Let's have a look. Nice. I think that is an ice-related one, but I'm not sure what it is. Derby. Derby. Oh, for fuck's sake. Swoon, yeah, I think it is pine. Yeah, swoon, yearn, pine. Unless this is just to throw you off. I don't know. Hockey. What do you think the hockey is? What year? What? Why would it be moon? Money. Purple hat.
It is utterly ridiculous.
I didn't know if that was going to come through. Thanks for the $8.99 in New Zealand dollars. I am incredibly grateful for that. Thank you for supporting. Oh, there's also a donation from the end of last time who I've forgotten. I think it was Coffee Addict, but it could be Coffee Lover. I should probably check. Sorry, I missed that. You donated it after I went, and you were like, please stay. And I was like, sorry, bro, I missed it. Hold on. But thank you for your incredibly kind donation. It was Coffee Lover. Apologies. Thank you, Coffee Lover. I don't think you moon over someone. Do you? I don't know. Yearn, pine, swoon, moon over someone. Why would it be moon over someone? Why is moon? What does moon have to do? What? What? Moon? I have never heard that. Is an informal verb meaning to spend excessive time thinking about. I've never heard that. What's it from? Is mooning still a thing? Oh no, that's someone asking if pulling your ass out is still a thing. I've never heard that. I'm thank you for telling me. Okay, so it's hockey related words then. Rink, puck, derby, block. Is that it? Derby, block, derby. Why would it be rink, puck, block, derby? Let's go for it. Unless, wait. What would be these? Chris needs to read more fiction. Ain't fucking happening. It ain't happening. What would these be? Can anyone think? Fuck it, I'm gonna do this. No, it was wrong. Is it compact mass? Oh. Roller coaster, roller derby, roller rink, roller bag, roller coaster. What's a roller bag? I've never heard of a roller bag. Oh. You've never heard of pine over someone. I've heard pine, I've just never heard all the others. Brick, puck, cake, coat, block. Compact mass. Yeah, I guess you hair cakes and things. So I think my grandmother can't shop at Tesco anymore. Okay, before we get into anything, have any of you seen the video of Kid Mero talking about fucking Riley Gaines?
Yo, bro, like, don't get me on my soapbox, but like shit like the Riley Gaines shit, like I'm like, bro, this is a grift, shorty. Like, you suck. You came in 5th. You know what I mean? You didn't lose because there was a transgender athlete in this swim meet. You lost because you were ass. You lost because you're ass. So fight against being ass. Get back in the lab, fix your shit up, and stop blaming this shit on another people. You know, a marginalized community that got nothing to do with you.
By the way, for like you know, all of the people who are like conservatives and support Israel and they're like pro-Palestine activists always blame Israel for everything. Bro, that is what actually just blaming someone else for all of your problems when the reality is you are just too shit yourself looks like. Like, that woman is just god-awful at swimming. Like, you know, you lost your race and that's what you're upset about. Does she even still swim? A 12-time NCAA All-American. She competed for the Kentucky Wildcats swim team in the Southeastern Conference before graduating and focusing on anti-trans activism. Jesus Christ. Imagine that is what your bio says. Like, your only talent is just being anti-trans. That's what you do after you're done. Hello, elephant fish. And then, yeah, back to the lab. Yeah. That's the best part of it. Oh. But yeah, just before graduating and focusing on anti-trans activism, Gaines is a Christian and has stated that her faith has shaped her activism. She graduated from University of Kentucky with a degree in health sciences. Her original plan was a dentist. Bro, they let anyone become a dentist over up in Kentucky. So she's married and she has a child. Baker struggled to get his green card or citizenship because of his refusal to take the COVID vaccine. Riley deplored publicly the administrative hurdles. Who's her husband? Louis Barker. Is he British? Yeah, he is.
Nations, we did nothing. That is not to say that we are anti-vax. It's not to say that maybe we won't later down the road. But I think it's more so just asking the questions.
By the way, me and her got the same mic.
But it didn't make sense.
Like, what is this? Oh! What is that? Why are you posting that on Instagram? I am sorry. That is not a very Christian image to be posted on Instagram. I don't think so, at least. These are unusual, you know? Just like a photo of her. Oh my God. What the fuck? Why is that on her Instagram? Like, post whatever you want, fair enough. But when you spend your life preaching morality to others and you've just got images like that is crazy. And like bringing your baby onto your podcast every day and just filming the baby is just insane.
Sports.
Oh, what a repugnant individual Riley Gaines is. Jesus. Oh. Oh, I just... Oh. Jesus Christ. Riley thought she was doing the Mother Mary photo shoot. I don't know. All of this is weird. All of this is really weird. And yeah, her husband is an immigrant, but what you got to understand is he is a white immigrant. So, I don't know. Look at them at the Charlie Kirk RIP fan meetup. Several outlets have noted that Gaines' trans activism often includes publicly targeting and insulting transgender individuals. In June 2025, gymnast Simone Bailey responded to one of these instances on X, calling Gaines truly sick and a straight-up sore loser due to her advocacy against the participation of trans women in women's sports. It's also really funny that obviously Simone Biles is actually a really talented individual and Riley Gaines is someone who is a fucking talentless hack. And by the way, doing like anti-trans propaganda, doing right-wing propaganda on the internet doesn't even require the most limited amount of talent. It is literally just being a bigot and people will rate that highly. You can just do that and then everything will be good for you. Like, it doesn't require any talent to blame trans people for your problem and make out like it's some evil, dark agenda. Even on Palestine, if you want to sit there and just pretend that, like, Jewish people are evil and that they control the entire world and that everything that Israel is doing and the ways in which it is behaving come from nothing more than some innate action of Jewish people, that is simple. That is pathetic, you know? Like, this stuff is so easy.
Mexican dudes.
By the way, I can't listen to videos that have music on because I don't know whether they're copyrighted. So it's kind of a bit tough. You know? Also... Oh, God. Have any of you seen this? This is sparking some brilliant discourse on the internet. From Usurp the Chef, whose bio is a thumbs down to the Iranian government and China, and a thumbs up to the US, Ukraine, Europe, and the United Nations. Right, great. There's someone whose political opinion I want to hear.
Disappointed in
Who
Gavin
do you vote
Newsom.
for, J.D. Vance or Gavin Newsom?
Well, I'd have to vote for Gavin Newsom,
Me
of course,
too.
100%.
I wouldn't blink.
There's no
What
doubt.
about you, Hassan?
I'd probably vote third party.
You would?
Oh yeah. I mean, at that point, it doesn't even matter. Like, because my policy on this is the same as like my refusal to endorse Kamala Harris. The reason why I did not endorse Kamala Harris was because she did things that were not only unproductive but also unconscionable.
Vadim was messaging me because he had a debate with Hutch and he was talking to me about something. And anyway, in the debate, they were talking about like the fucking border wall. And he was like, yeah, the Democrats have never said that they're not against it. And it's like, what do you mean? Like, I thought that like you really cared about these things when Trump is doing bad things to immigrants. But when the Democratic Party lays the groundwork over and over again for all of this stuff, what's the expectation? What's the expectation? Like, you've seen Gavin Newsom already make it clear that he isn't going to do anything different on Palestine. Why are you expecting him to endorse Gavin Newsom now? He's going to behave exactly the same way.
And I still stand on that. I still talk about it all the time because people constantly bring it up. They're like, you didn't sufficiently like promote Kamala Harris. You're the reason why she lost. And I'm like, I am incapable
there is no singular force in this country that is capable of making or breaking an election. And if that was real, then it is the most idiotic thing not to listen to my demands. But everybody knows that that's not real, right? If I had this singular force to be able to make Kamala Harris the president, then Kamala Harris should be coming to me every day and being like, let me do a collab with you, please.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah, I know. Because the thing about building a wall is the groundwork for that was laid under Obama. It's just Trump ran on this thing of making it far more simplistic than like just going, yeah, we're going to build some fencing, of just going, we're going to build a massive wall and that's going to stop all immigration and everything will be awesome and fine. You know? That's what he wins on.
That's not the case, of course, and they know it. That's why they didn't do it. But the campaigns are always responsible for whether or not they are able to win the crowds, win the population over, and combat against the couch. Not necessarily even against the Republican Party, but usually you're fighting against the couch. People who just don't go out and vote.
I think also one of the problems is once again, as I always say, in the UK, we had the left-wing party win. It's not good. They haven't undone anything. They haven't actually worked to undermine any of the right-wing anti-immigrant policies that the Reform Party want to bring in. They're not doing shit. They are doing absolutely nothing. In fact, they've even been posting themselves like epic deportation videos. And Keir Starmer is portrayed as an evil left-wing socialist. He has completely purged the Labour Party of anyone good and decent. In fact, he prides himself on having purged Jeremy Corbyn. He brought in a guy who they knew was a close associate of Jeffrey Epstein to be the ambassador to the US. Like, what is this guy doing? He is an idiot. He is a moron. No one's life is getting better here. Nothing is being fixed. And what is it paving the way for? The most fascistic UK party that we've seen in, really ever, that has come this close to winning an election. Like Jenrick and stuff, like Robert Jenrick, who's in the Reform Party, is grotesque and horrifying. And I've said this again. I'll say it again. If Gavin Newsom or whoever wins the 2029 election, if he comes into power in 2029, right? If he does, what will change? Because he won't make things all that much better, and he'll pave the way as things worsen around people, as immigration increases because of climate change and stuff, as more and more people pour in. He won't have reversed anything that Trump did. Yeah. It's just unbelievable that we have to hear so much rhetoric. No, Starmer isn't resigning. Starmer's staying on.
And for me, the way I see it is if the Democratic establishment makes this decision one more time, just as they did with Hillary Clinton, just as they did with Kamala Harris, and in some ways just as they did with Joe Biden as well, which led to Trump too, then they just don't care. And there's not much I can do.
Let me tell you something. Yeah. I agree with everything you say, but as a person who lived in a red state for 50 years, I would crawl through 10 feet of concrete to vote for Gavin Newsom, even though I think he's duplicitous, a hypocrite, a thirst trap, hungry for power, all of the things that you say, and harms the Democratic Party and sets the psychological soil to be more prey to fascism. All of that I agree with. But there are so many young, queer, black, brown, marginalized people in red states.
Literally, the reason that Trump deported less people than Barack Obama was because when Barack Obama started doing it, there were a huge amount of networks that were built up and sanctuary cities and such to protect marginalized people that had nothing to do with Obama. They were something that actually combated Trump. And the vast majority of these groups were not massively pro-Kamala, were not massively pro-Biden, because they saw what Obama did to them. And you can just look back to this history, and yet today people will just be like, oh, no, you've just got to vote for them one more time. Kunzleria wants to confirm, do we get our car hearts on today? Am I wearing a Carhartt? I mean, you can tell, all right? You can tell. It says it.
And even though this corporate Democrat is, you see it in a long-term game. In the short-term game, a President Newsom over a President J.D. Vance.
But that's the thing. I also don't think... by the way, I don't think J.D. Vance is forever, because I think he's too unappealing, and I don't really know. Just like hearing him talk, he's really weird. He's got no aura. And I think it's a product of lots of weirdos propping him up. Like Peter Thiel thinking, yeah, this guy will make for a good candidate, right? Keir Starmer, the granny harmer, wants us mixed up in Israel drama. And this person had a good tweet. Jean Marco said, I actually think it's a good thing to not preemptively swear you'll vote for Gavin Newsom before he's a candidate. These people would tell you to vote for a fucking scarecrow if you put a blue ribbon on it and gave it a blue tie or a red tie in the UK. They would literally say this scarecrow is amazing, even if the scarecrow promised that it was a fucking scarecrow. It couldn't do anything. These people would come out and tell you you have to vote for them, and it's like, no, you have to see serious material change. But listen to this person usurp the chef. This proves Hassan doesn't care about any of the marginalized groups he pretends to support. All he cares about is taking money from them so he can buy more outfits for them for stream. No left of the aisle politician will ever do the right thing because they are beholden to the exact same corporations as the right. It will never end. I mean, one might have thought that Jeremy Corbyn could have and would have, but I think one of the problems is a lot of people who are committed to the system of electoral politics and are just and moral are unfortunately Democrats. And this is a problem, by the way, that extends across a multitude of different countries. In the context of Iran, had Mohammad Mossadegh chosen to be an authoritarian and to have collaborated with more like kind of militant and like far left like political groupings in Iran, he probably could have cracked down massively on any opposition and never have been couped, because the coup didn't actually succeed straight away. But he chose not to be because he was a Democrat. And I think Corbyn should have been a ruthless backstabber who did undemocratic things, and then he wouldn't have put himself in so much trouble. But also the question of Corbyn is, when the media's against you, what can you do? Rosa Luxemburg has a specific quote about that. I've never heard the Luxemburg quote. But I think Luxemburg, I mean, I guess one of the arguments would be made is Luxemburg was killed and Lenin ended with a legacy of a very powerful country. And I mean, I think it's tough. The moderate right relate to the extreme... What are you saying here, Drac the Ripper? This is too long for one comment. Also, Amanda, thank you for the $5. I think the illusion of right and left in politics is an illusion, but I think there are right and left in terms of values and morals. No, I think that the right and left do exist, but I think it really exists on a politics of universality versus particularity. With the entry of socialists into the government and class domination continuing to exist, the bourgeois government doesn't transform itself into a socialist government, but a socialist transforms. The entry of the socialist into government and class domination continuing. Yeah, I think I tend to agree with that. It is a good quote, and I think, look, I'm still somewhat of a believer in democracy. I really do want to read why Zizek is against it, because in the Sublime Object, he's not. For they know not what they do. Enjoyment as a political factor by Zizek. Zizek doesn't believe in the concept of democracy as well. Yeah. I'm suggesting the far right relate with liberals and moderate right people reliant more with far left in terms of ending the genocide in Gaza. Yeah, I mean, there's commonality found around that. Although, you do. I was about to say you get a lot of libs who feel differently about Palestine, but Yeah, let's find out what this bold ass guy is going to tell us about fucking why Hassan is an evil man.
Disappointed in
Who do you
Gavin
vote
Newsom.
for, J.D. Vance or Gavin Newsom?
Well, I'd have to vote for Gavin Newsom.
Me
of course,
too.
100%.
I wouldn't blink.
There's no
What
doubt.
about you, Hassan?
I'd probably vote third party.
You would?
I just fuck him, dude. Fuck him.
Like, okay, let's put it like this. It is undeniable. You're a left winger, right? It is absolutely undeniable that China is leading the way on the green transition. Trump is completely uninterested in the green transition, okay. Yet, simultaneously, Biden didn't want the same things. I mean, you read, like, fucking Western outlets, and they're telling you about how Xi Jinping is trying to turn solar panels into fucking spy systems. And what? Just because Biden is slightly better or was slightly better and Newsom might be slightly better, that's it? We have to accept it? Because ultimately, I don't think they undo everything Trump did, because otherwise that'll just be all what they spend their time doing. Hutch say he would debate you. He didn't specify a topic. I'll debate him about Palestine. I'll debate him about how much of a fucking idiot he is. I'll debate him about why me and Isaac and myself were anti-Semitic.
Opposition. Political opposition. Not on the team, guys. He is not on the team. He is indifferent to Republicans having power. And all of the people that are harmed by that.
By the way, like, once again, if you look at the trans people marginalization in the UK, Starmer and his cronies aren't doing anything better. Hold on. Where's streeting puberty blockers? Wes Streeting banned prescribing puberty blockers to under 18s. Like, this notion that a vote indicates that somehow you're a good left-wing person on the team is really, really, really stupid.
Happening. He is opposition, okay? In no uncertain terms. This is nuts.
Who's the team? You, Destiny, Ethan Klein? Ethan Klein, who's fucking laughing at people for calling out ICE yesterday and is like a worshipper of the Zionist project? Who BDS the Israelis?
This is a fucking bananas thing to say a year into this administration. 2 dead people in fucking Minnesota.
But I also don't think that we can actually just view this as in terms of... And I think that one of these problems is like, how a lib views it is we just need to return it to normality, where we can stop Trump doing the worst of the excesses. But all of the other excesses and all of the other groundwork that is being laid, we don't need to worry about that.
Minnesota, wow. Minnesota, how many people did we send to fucking like a torture prison in Seacott? Didn't we send possibly like American citizens there on accident?
Like everything, look, there are always deaths in these ICE black sites. And once again, the guy who killed someone the guy who killed Renee Good, Jonathan Ross, was on an ICE SWAT team for 10 fucking years. What do you think he was getting up to on that? I hate when people argue team sports like Hutch. It is utterly ridiculous. If you guarantee your vote, there is zero incentive for your team to do better, especially when they're doing the same shit as the Republicans are. Yeah, you know what as well? If we were alive, we were all, I would assume everyone was alive when Obama was in power, at least for a while. If we were alive then, these people would say, how dare you criticize Obama, he is black. And that is not even a joke. That is not even an exaggeration. That is literally something that's like Daniel Denvir, host of The Dig at Jacobin Magazine, who's coming on the podcast on Friday for a Valentine's Day special kind of thing. Even though it's not coming out on Valentine's Day, nor is it recorded on Valentine's Day. Don't know why I said that. But, he was talking about it. He was like, being someone who reported on immigration issues, it was like, hey, people wouldn't accept it because Obama was black.
The mass deportation program, ICE terrorizing civilians, millions dead, USAID cuts, 11-week blockade of aid going into Gaza, which almost...
By the way, this whole stuff about an 11-week blockade into Gaza and all of this stuff, like, I don't understand it. Once again, these people all play this same fucking game. Like, we have the left-wing government who we just had to vote for to get rid of the Tories. And we have him in power, right? His cabinet members admit that Israel is committing war crimes in private. They admit that Israel is engaging in barbaric slaughter in private. Yet publicly, nothing. Nothing. No change. They talk about the two-state solution. When Israel engages in like a long-standing process to ethnically cleanse the West Bank, the Zionist project is a structure, not an event. Trump accelerates these things. Trump was the first American president to recognize the settlements as legitimate. He was the first one to recognize the Golan Heights as part of Israeli land. Yet what did all those ones do who came before him? There were loan guarantees in the 90s that were rejected on the basis of settlement, but eventually it was decoupled and unfrozen. Reagan recognized that the settlements were the key obstacle to peace, but said, sorry, there's nothing we can do about them. These things don't happen because of one-off events. The groundwork for Trump was laid a very, very, very long time ago. And also, I do know about the Irish guy. We'll watch that.
Very nearly caused a mass starvation event. Got very close to being officially designated a famine. Dismantling the Department of Education. Blowing up fucking fishermen in Venezuela.
And sorry, you also need to think here about how a system in a country like yours ends up electing Donald Trump. And that is not because of Hassan Piker. Look, however you feel about Hassan, and I know many of you think he's too libbed out, and I think he does say things that can be a bit libbed out, and I think that video of him and Yanis Varoufakis the other day where he was like, why would you kind of have anything to do with the Democrats was interesting. Yet simultaneously, any transgression that he has committed is undone by the fact that there are huge amounts of people who find Hassan and actually do start engaging with more left-wing politics. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And yes, the genocide happening in Sudan. Look, the difference between Trump and Biden is Trump doesn't like... Trump likes the UAE a bit more, and he's happy to be a bit more corrupt.
Invading Venezuela, deposing a leader. I guess we're doing regime change again, just very blatantly and openly at this point.
Why do you think that they maintain a blockade on Gaza? A blockade on Cuba. Because let's be real here. Trump can strangle Cuba right now, not just because of one random event of Trump coming to power, but because of a system that is set up in a way where America is the only powerful country that is able to do this kind of stuff. The only country with the ability to, decide what happens for millions of people who live outside of the border. And I'd like to know what Biden did to challenge that. Sure, Obama met with them. Sure, Obama negotiated the JPCOA nuclear deal with Iran. But, ultimately, Trump can just undo that. It's fucking insane. Also, this 600,000 dead from USAID, I don't know about that.
There's fucking dozens of other just really awful, damaging things that he's done as president. And after this, you're like, nah, I don't know if I would vote third party. Fuck you, bro.
But look at all the stuff that happened under Biden, right? Migrants being whipped at the border, the maintaining the systems that were started to be instituted under Trump and were instituted under Obama, to punish people from coming over to the United States or for coming over to the United States. Kamala making a more lethal military. the Gaza fucking genocide, that's not something specific to Trump. And that's not something specific to... That's not something specific to, you know, any administration. It's a failure, a prolonged failure.
This guy, man.
And the discourse doesn't stop there. Someone had a tweet here. Ideally, Dems stop putting us in this gun-to-head situation. Choose the slower poison position to begin with. Just run someone people actually like. Icing out progressives is not new. It's why the Dems have done every election 2016 onwards. Me personally, I'll always vote Dem in the gen. Voting third party is very stupid. You can do it. It doesn't make it not stupid, but it doesn't really swing elections. And even if it did, I'd be asking those people how I could earn their vote. I mean, I wouldn't admonish someone. I think there's also a bit of a bit of an oxymoron in there. You're calling people stupid for voting third party and then saying, I'd like to know how I would win their vote. Maybe if you stop calling them stupid, you know, maybe that's a helpful thing. What are you? Why can't I see? G nice, tons of Muslim, your side of the pond. Great, thanks for that one, mate. Like, thanks for that one. Tons of Muslims. But I don't really give a shit. I'm gonna be frank.
Yeah.
Also, this is another good tweet from Emily Giselle. Reducing care for marginalized communities to a single hypothetical vote misunderstands how political engagement works. The premise here is that political morality is measured exclusively at the voting booth, while also claiming it proves he exploits marginalized people for profit. We all know that Hassan has spent years directing money, attention, and platform power toward those communities. If the standard for caring about marginalized people is unconditional support for whichever major party candidate is on the ballot, then you're redefining care in a way that conventionally excludes any form of political action outside party loyalty. By the way, as well, for all of these people who claim to be staunch Democrats, I think what you can say about, like, about Obama and the Democrats is Obama could have changed the world hugely. Obama could have prevented the emergence of Egypt as a dictatorial country. He categorically could have. His administration undeniably could have done that. That's not an exaggeration to say that. They could have prevented Bahrain from remaining a Saudi-influenced dictatorship if they'd heeded and listened to the people's words over there. They could have done this for pretty much every country in the Middle East that had a genuinely popular revolution that was people saying, we don't want to live under dictatorships. And I think, like, he didn't. And he didn't because of a choice. And those people are marginalized communities. They are most definitely marginalized communities. People in Egypt are marginalized. Of course, there are very rich and wealthy people who exist in Egypt, but the fact is they've been kept under a torturous, brutal, authoritarian state for decades. Obama could have changed that. Saying you will unconditionally support the Democrats is not actually going to fix anything about the world in which we live. You know? Like, I watch my country constantly being poisoned. I watch its rivers, like, filling up with shit. I watch how trying to get a train anywhere costs insane amounts of money. And I just sit there and think, I am immeasurably privileged. Like, I've grown up with a lot. And I think I sit here and feel these things, but I always have a safety net of that luck of where I was born and stuff. And you know, if I can feel this stuff, people with a lot less than me must feel it a lot fucking harder, you know. We need to stop platforming them. Hutch isn't even a centrist. I think he's just a contrarian who wants to argue against every point. No, I think that you're wrong. I think that a lot of these people's politics revolves around the basic notion of waking up in the morning, finding out what Hassan has said on the internet, and finding a way to kind of make that kind of a way to make slop out of that. They know what's popular. It's insane. It's genuinely insane. It's all just a world for them of just, I wake up and find, you know, thing that Hassan did to get mad about. Hutch is the only victim of Bobby Kotick and Epstein's vile plans. Did Epstein create machinima as a means to create to poison the political discourse? You didn't miss much just talking about stupid people saying crap. It's but the wolves' politics. They don't care how predatory the Democrats are because they put a performance of decorum and niceties. They kneeled and wore Kent cloth after a black man was shot by the police. Republicans were open about their unwavering support of cops. By the way, aren't Hutch and all these people like tangentially associated with Destiny? Is Hutch still like friends with Destiny? I don't fucking know. But like, Destiny, when BLM was going on, his decision was, yeah, actually, the black people are the problem. The black people and people protesting are the problem. Destroying property is worthy of you being killed. And it's kind of just like, oh, come on, lad. Come on, lad. It feels weird calling Destiny lad. And I think as well, by the way, if people on the internet and people who are academics can... If we believe that the Democrats' goal is to win and to build something better that protects marginalized marginalized computers, marginalized, you know, marginalized communities, right? Sorry, I'm getting distracted by the chat. If people... Shit, I forgot what I was saying. Oh, sorry. If the Democrats were really interested in that, they would know that it is not appealing to constantly cede ground, nor is it a successful strategy to continually claim that being tough on the border is going to go forward. Like, look, you seemingly have 70 million people who will vote for you, whoever the fuck you put up, and yet you decide not to make it progressive, so you might actually advance and go forward. I don't know. My old computer was a marginalized computer. Marginalized men. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Okay, right. They literally elect corpses. Yeah, 100%. These people are willing to elect a fucking corpse and a scarecrow. They literally tell you, we'll vote for anyone who is not Donald Trump. Why not push that person to be really fucking left-wing instead of just, you know, minor Hitler? Or like someone who'll be happy with the Gaza genocide and happy with most of the stuff that fucking Trump would do anyway. And not changing it, you know? Like, not changing fundamentally how America operates as a country. It is very clear what you can do to become more popular, and yet they're not going to. Why have I accidentally linked to a video called State of the World 2020? What?
Welcome, I'm Nicandros.
Okay, so I want to show a video that I think is worth looking at.
January 2022, moderation-wise, the Reddit, when the server rules relations between adults and minors. But hey, they deleted the NSFW channels, them mode on those channels. When the server was open to the public in January 2019. In Tyson's case, the drumming Lava GS, but no evidence for that was...
Okay, right. So this is a video by Nick Andros about a creepy YouTube situation involving Nux Taku. Now, if you're not familiar with Nux Taku, he is like Israel's biggest fan. And I will say to watch the whole video. I'm not going to watch the whole video because I think you should go and watch it yourself. This Nux Taku guy is like a slop tuber who is now a Christian warrior who is like a major defender of Ethan Klein. And like seriously, just go on his YouTube. Nux Taku. Hold on. And by the way, I think his cousin was killed. And by the way, he's Israeli. So, you know, Nux Taku's cousin was killed in Gaza, I think. Let me see if I can find it. He's also someone with very biting political analysis. Hi, Jew here. I uniquely get shit from the far right and the far left, and I can say with 100% certainty, I would entrust my life to a Hitler-hiling anti-Semitic Jews control the universe Nick Fuentes Greuter, named, I'm not reading that out, over a moderately leftist college student that goes to overwhelmingly peaceful protests and celebrates Charlie Kirk's assassination. What do you think that someone who's like a fan of Nick Fuentes is celebrating, my friend? Like, Nick Fuentes openly celebrates the extermination of 6 million Jewish people. And, yeah, Nux Taku is... Oh, wait, I've accidentally searched Nick Fuentes' cousin. Nux Taku cousin. I really want to show you, because his cousin was definitely killed in Gaza. He was like, I won't stream because my cousin's dead, and... He's now like a Christian grifter or something. I think he's Jewish. But this video is going to pop off, by the way, because it's so insane. It's so insane. Massive H3 defender as well.
Ever found. The Discord just had NSFW content available to minors. By those standards...
So he's starting to talk about Ava Chris Tyson, which I didn't really know about the... Tyson. I didn't really know about the scandal. It's Mr. Beast's trans friend who was in a lot of OG Mr. Beast videos, and it basically involved an NSFW discourse. But basically, this guy's thesis, or the crux of his video, is Nux Taku basically ruined a child's life for $46. And it's a pretty convincing thesis.
Nux Taku's Reddit was already way, way worse. And his Discord, way worse, 4 years after Tyson's Discord, when there was more of a general awareness of these issues. Tyson's server apparently still had sexual chats or juvenile banter after it went public, but looking at the kinds of terms that were frequently used on Nux's Discord, there was plenty of that to go around. If NSFW
there has been one person who was too young on the Discord. As soon as that was found out, they were no longer allowed on the Discord. And no one in my Discord is discussing sex or any of that kind of stuff. Not like this, at least. These people are doing, like, NSFW roleplay and stuff. And they allow 16-year-olds on. And this guy's talking about, like, fucking degeneracy.
Was now banned from Nux Taku's Discord. How did they handle Nux Taku's NSFW content? If the thumbnails contained NSFW content, the staff members would remove their embeds. Darn Nux using blatantly NSFW thumbnails that stay in the Discord cache after he censors them. Some users would still post NSFW images from Nux's content or the content of his friends, and the staff, despite reacting to them, wouldn't delete them. God damn it, Nux. We're trying to keep the order. In a recent one, he used a thumbnail from an actual porn video. Ah, okay, so Nux again with the nip slip, I see. This is Pokemon-branded lolly bestiality in January 2022.
These are the kind of words that human beings should not be saying, let alone watching. And this guy goes on about degeneracy and why the left was bad for, like, I don't know, silencing Charlie Kirk and stuff, and he's posting like Bidoof, like having sex. It's insane. The community here are freaks, not monsters. Yeah, I mean, just not getting up to this kind of shit.
Into the Wayback Machine, this thumbnail was left like this for months. This is on par with his idea to make Twitch streamers say the N-word. We removed the embed. Nux is pushing the limits, Lamau. What is he pushing the limits of? The thumbnail of his latest video. Then why he do it non-censored then? That's the big question. Here's a bigger question. If the age group of Nux's audience is too young for his Discord community to have NSFW channels.
Yeah, like, look at this. I can kind of understand that, but the Billy age group, plus it really has nothing to do with him. This guy had, like, kids commenting on his YouTube videos, like, where do I find the hentai videos that you're linking in here? And he gets away because he became a right-wing Christian grifter.
But most of the people on this server came from Nux's channel. Why is the content of that channel too NSFW for the demographic of the Discord?
Also, I cannot imagine what this man looks like. I'm gonna put it out there. This guy is gonna be one of the most crazy looking guys ever, but he uses a VTuber to hide his face. I'm saying he's like Nick D'Orio on steroids of repugnancy. But this is like a guy who literally loves Ethan Klein, by the way, as well. Major defender. He's a second Ethan Klein defender has allegations against them.
This is massively self-incriminating. Despite having this long history of running communities where minors were exposed to adult content.
Look at this. Imagine, oh god, imagine how much, this is just disgusting. Yeah, Mutahar engineer exposed. Ah, okay.
And that being the very core of his YouTube content for years, in 2024, Nuxtaku wasn't only criticizing, but grandstanding over Ava Chris Tyson. He was also putting lollibeat into his content before and after he was supposed to confront Shadman for drawing lollibeat on September 30th of 2021. However, Nuxtaku's numerous lies about his association with Shadman is something for a different video. There's also the V Shoujo drama to cover, which lots of people think he was in the right about. That is not the case at all, but again, different video. It's a real shame because what I'm going to reveal next is likely going to kill his career. Not to imply what I presented earlier isn't already bad enough, but this is just beyond forgiveness.
So this is the part where this gets really, really unbelievable. So he was sent like videos of like there's no indication that he was sent like inappropriate videos of children, but children were sending him like videos that were bizarre. There's one that involves like farting or something for some kind of community, and that's mentioned previously. It talks about how he gamed the system so he could get around the parental filters, like the videos that Nuxtaku was uploading. He had like NSFW thumbnails, and yeah, just have a listen to though how bad this gets.
You see, there is another Nuxtaku Discord server, even older than his subreddit. I saw an ad for it, which made me very intrigued.
Help keep my channel afloat. All patrons are invited to the Discord server where we hang out having a great time, and unlike Tumblr, we have an NSFW section.
Welcome to the Nexus, Nuxtaku's Patreon Discord.
Yes, he puts on his baby voice for his baby fandom so he can feed them pornographic slop. And now that his baby fandom have reached an age of being people who've never left the house and had any kind of meaningful engagements with anyone, he's now realized, shit, I need to transform into someone who makes content like this. Reacting to what the Quran says about Christians, Islam is wild. Reacting to if Allah is actually the pagan idol the pagan idol Baal. What the fuck, Baal? 100% blind reaction to why Fable is doomed. The real Islam is wild. What does that one say? Muslims do this for fun? He's just an Islamophobic sack of shit, like, who realized, oh, I was involving myself with a lot of pedos. Better not do that now.
Founded in April of 2018. In its current state, the server is almost totally inactive, but the NSFW channel is still here. Despite having an NSFW channel, the server's rules mention nothing about a minimum age, and there is nothing about it being 18 plus on the Patreon side either. What's special about this community is Nux's level of engagement. He wasn't talking to people on his Reddit, and he kept the interactions on the public Discord to a minimum. However, on the Patreon Discord, at least in 2018-2019, he would actually talk to people and even hang out in voice chats with them. Here we can actually see him talking with...
Bro, this is worse than anything to do with Lolly. This is promoting a pedo. Like, he promoted someone who's a pedo who was talking inappropriately with a child. Like, who was sending inappropriate stuff to children. To someone under the age of 16. To someone under the age of 18. And this guy promoted him on his channel on this from this small Discord. Just watch.
The artist behind his 2019-era character. The original high-resolution files are here as well. This one, where Nux is rubbing his hands, has the file name nux_merchant.png. Very interesting. The NSFW channel wasn't there from the start. We can trace its creation to this exchange from October 15th, 2018, where we can see this user, who from now on will be called Red, repeatedly asking Nux to create it. If we look at the time and date of these messages, the NSFW channel was made 2 minutes later. In response to this, Red raised their Patreon pledge, and Nux gave them a thumbs up. For a brief moment, let me take you to August of 2024. Nuxtaku is finally being pressed about his past content, and he was actually pushed into making a response.
The biggest shock to me to this day entering the broader commentary sphere was the dangers lurking around every corner in regards to children. Children are not safe on the internet. I only became chronically online after high school, but I couldn't imagine what it would do to me if I was in some YouTuber's Discord server at the age of 12 or 14.
You couldn't imagine. You don't need to. Red joined the server on September 7th. On day 1, they openly declared themselves to be 14 years old.
He had a 14-year-old who paid him $10 to make an NSFW server. Like, that is not that kid's fault. It is unbelievable.
They would later claim to be 15 multiple times, but as they openly stated, they were lying about their age. Red was born in 2004. They had turned 14 soon before they joined the server. The Discord was a pretty small clique, and soon enough, basically everyone on the server knew that Red was underage. Despite this, Nuxtaku made the NSFW channel for them a month later, and within a year, they had posted 242 messages on the channel. There's also an instance where another user pinged Red into the NSFW channel. As far as I can tell, this behavior was not punished. So a 14-year-old paid Nuxtaku money to be on his Patreon Discord server. He made the NSFW channel for them, after which he accepted even more money from them, and allowed them to post onto that channel for over a year before they left the server. But did Nuxtaku...
Can you actually believe this? This guy fucking grandstands about other people's interactions. He grandstands about Hassan Piker and talks about how Hassan Piker is 110% fucked. He actually has like a channel that is basically just dedicated. This is his popular-ish channel. He just posts like, their Hail Mary backfired. Epstein found a lot. Who is watching an hour 19? Canada, he's posting claims that the shooter was trans with AI edited thumbnails. We will free terrorists being Islamophobic. Bye, motherfucker. Iran attacked US. They're fucked. He has like a whole series talking about Hassan, and this guy facilitated pedos.
Nuxtaku know that Red was underage. There is no message of Nux acknowledging Red's age. However, it is extremely unlikely that he didn't know. In this conversation from earlier, where Red says they're lying about their age, Nuxtaku shows up soon afterwards. In this conversation, there's some kind of an ERP going on in the general chat, which is interrupted by Red. Red is told not to get involved because they're underage. After Red says the conversation is making them gag, Another user jokes, "Oh no, we better stop if we are gagging a minor." Red pinged Nuxtaku soon afterwards, but Nux didn't show up. This is Minth's
Bro. Oh.
Mouse Lord, or Mitochondria, or Mito. According to Nuxtaku, they were the best poster on the NSFW channel. In this conversation about BDSM, we can see Red asking Mito to send their presentation on sex toys to other users. Note, I just made the presentation because Red was clueless. After Bex mentions having a high tolerance to weirdness, Nux shows up to say, "Proud fanbase." Gremmen asks Mito to send the presentation to Nux. I think that Red already sent—
Bro, how are you allowing sexual roleplays to go on in your fucking Discord with minors there? How? And then you make your whole content pandering to children, posting like porn hentai.
it to him. "No, I told ya. Never sent it, but I can now." "What are we sending me?" "A sex toy presentation." "Why? Lol." "We needed to explain sex toys to Red." "Nah, it's fine if it's not sent to Nux." "Already did, Mito. I'm not doing honest descriptions on all Mito's sex toys." Few minutes later at 2:16, Nux says, "Very cool, Mito, very cool." Nuxtaku has now received a direct message from a minor on his server, containing a link to a sex toy presentation that was made for them. What adult—
How is he allowed to have a platform on YouTube? Because he gamed the system and then pretended that he really gave a shit about pedos. Like, I genuinely believe that most men who pretend to care about pedos have some obsession with children themselves. Like, I'm sure that there are decent and moral people who want to see kids protected, but I think a lot of people do it to cover their own asses. Sometimes even if it's not to do with kids, they do it to feel better about their own regressive views that they hold about women.
is clueless about sex toys. That's a massive red flag that Red is a minor. There was a
Yeah, I did see. Didn't he post, like, he used to do, like, a top 10 hentai ranking and a top 10, and, like, some of those included lolly?
previous time a month earlier, when users in the voice chat text channel begged Nuxtaku to join the VC because they needed help explaining sex toys to Red. Again, what adult doesn't know what sex toys are? In this example, Nuxtaku declined the invitation to join the VC, but he absolutely was in voice chats with Red multiple times. One of my agents reached out to Red and asked them about their time on the server. They were willing to share their DMs with Nux to show that they did actually send him the sex toy presentation, so that actually happened. It wasn't just a joke. When asked about whether they were ever in voice chats with Nuxtaku, Red recalled being in a VC with him plenty of times, couple of times a week. They'd be surprised if Nux didn't notice them being underage, since everyone else did. However, they don't recall Nux ever commenting on their age. Now, I am not a journalist. I'm just a guy on the internet. However, I know you're not supposed to take one person's word and just run with it. Red could be misremembering, they might have some bias for or against Nuxtaku, so it's important to have corroborating evidence. On December 15th...
Yeah, this video details, like, the stuff he was sharing, and yeah, there was one thing he was watching that, like, he also tacitly admits in others that he kept the name of the stuff on screen so people could find it, and one of them is, like, that it's just like lolly, like pedo videos, like pedo anime stuff online, and he had like loads of YouTubers reviewing it, and he literally said that his content was 13 plus in the description of all of his content. He was like, "Oh, my content is for 13 and up." Like, I think, you know, you're making this stuff for 18-year-olds. Bit weird. But if you are someone who puts 13 plus, you have you have done something very dark, very, very, very dark.
In 2018, Nuxtaku pinged a deleted user to a VC. Red says Nux is in VC, everyone flood, implying they joined the voice channel with Nux. There's a similar message from January 15th, 2019. If we scroll down a bit, we can see a screenshot showing Nux in the VC with Red. The real Nuxtaku here is the real Nuxtaku. Here's another screenshot from the time. Same name, same avatar. The current music...
By the way, I think you'd be shocked because this actually gets even worse. And yes, him residing in Israel is the least surprising thing. Perhaps he prepped for the future and the realization as this is not even a joke. Sex offenders and people with cases against them flee to Israel because, like, surely, legally speaking, there must be some kind of culpability here if you've, like, knowingly promoted pornography to under 13s. You know, he also, this video is, like, about how he grandstanded about Twitch and, like, I mean, he made the all-time classic Twitch thought. You're a Twitch thought. I'm a very poggers mad type. And he made all of this shit and said all of this shit. And this gets even fucking worse. This gets even fucking worse. Just watch.
Channel used to be the old voice text channel, and on it we can sometimes see Red and Nux posting things close to each other that only make sense if they were in the VC at the same time. Here, for example, Nux is working on a thumbnail. There's a message from Red, messages from Nuxtaku, and then a message from Red. An hour later, messages from Nuxtaku. In this one, we have a message from Red addressing Nux. Later a photo from Nux, then a photo from Red. In this instance, Red asks somebody to join the VC. Another user posts a caked up Charizard. Nuxtaku shows a work-in-progress thumbnail. Message from Red, the Charizard from earlier is
Bro, these people need to be investigated.
now on Nux's thumbnail. There's plenty of evidence of Red speaking, having audio issues, and other users commenting about their voice. So it's not like they never talked in the VC. I think this evidence
Hold on, let me just check whether it's cool. I'll just link it. It's good. I'd watch the whole thing if I were you guys.
sufficiently corroborates Red's recollection that they were in the VCs with Nuxtaku multiple times. I'm not sure about a couple times a week, but certainly multiple times. Red was already behaving in a pretty immature way, even in the text messages. They would spam emojis and walls of text. To believe that Nuxtaku didn't know Red's age, you'd have to believe he missed all of the instances when their age was mentioned. You'd have to believe no one told him Red was a minor in chats, VCs, or DMs, and that Nux didn't realize it from their voice when talking to them in VCs. This should already be enough to strongly conclude that Nuxtaku knew. But to show the full extent of the evidence and the full extent of Nuxtaku's beyond incomprehensible neglect, we need to introduce a new character. After joining the server, Red quickly made friends with another user called Alan Vebus. I know that Alan's avatar
Alan Vebus! Oh, these are the kind of names that, knowing these names should get you sent to Gitmo, Guantanamo, for knowing who Alan Vebus is.
here looks an awful lot like Mr. Obvious from my engineer video, but they are not the same person.
By the way, I reckon this video will go very big and it'll snowball into, like, quite a big scandal because, like, it's well made and it's really, really just, like, seriously disgusting. Like, genuinely seriously disgusting.
Alan was a small anime creator at the time and would promote his videos on Nux's Discord. The metadata of his channel reveals that he is from Romania, and he would often mention things about it on the server. There's a lot of conversations between them and Nuxtaku on the server, and Nux has mentioned a video from October 22nd, 2018.
All patrons are invited to the Discord server, where we do things like make fun of Alan Wiebes. If you don't know who Alan Wiebes is, oh, trust me, $1 to the Patreon is worth it to meet the guy. He's in a special kind of category, where everyone that relates to him in any way is a tsundere, because we all constantly make fun of him and make believe we hate him, but we all low-key like him. And also, thank you, Alan Wiebes.
This video was uploaded earlier today and it had 2K views this morning. It's, I think it'll get traction because, I mean, actually saying that, Shamu's Tectone video didn't get that much traction at the time he made it, and it was like a very, very, very detailed video about how bad of an individual Tectone really fucking was. And this one may not, but I feel like, you know, pedo VTuber, people want to hear about that because this is the kind of shit, you know, it's a fork found in kitchen fucking moment.
For donating $10 on Patreon, so now I get to shout you out in all my videos. Link to Alan Wiebes' channel is actually in the description. He makes funny shiz, and he takes the edge out of edgy, which leaves you just why? Like, why is he making this video? That kind of thing. Anyway, special thanks to King Beat My Meat Sage.
Alan was a very major contributor to the NSFW channel. However, according to Nux, they were still inferior to Mitochondria. He apparently got his material from following more than 300 hentai artists on Twitter. That's only a third of the amount that Tecton was following. Alan has made a lot of claims about their age, including saying that he was as young as 15. Plenty of users, including Naxtaku, have also claimed Alan to be underage. Alan is a lolly, no can do. Alan is underage. Does that mean Nux is grooming Alan? What's going on here? According to Red's recollection, Alan was around 19 at the time. In this tweet, they claim to be 19 in 2019. So, if they're telling the truth here, they would have been 18. Another former member believed Alan to be around 21. According to Red's recollection, no one on the server genuinely believed Alan was underage. These statements about Nux grooming Alan or Nux calling Alan a lolly are simply jokes.
It's just like, I don't know, bro. This guy's promoted a pedo to his audience. Like, I'm sorry, what you hear here is like pretty undeniable pedo kind of stuff.
Very optically bad jokes, but jokes nonetheless. While I'm not sure about Alan's exact age, they were clearly an adult. Alan has unfortunately deleted their Discord account, which makes it hard to determine which messages are his. But we can still tell if it's him.
Hey, bruv, we gotta get rid of the pedos. We gotta keep the pedos off Britain. Oi. There you go, that's some Britishness.
Talking thanks to context clues. Here Naxtaku mentions that Megumin from Konosuba is best girl. Alan points out that she is 14 years old. Another deleted user, who I assume is Zack, asks Alan about another character called Tiger. There's two deleted users talking here, so how can we tell them apart? Alan must be one of them because their name is mentioned. So this one must be Zack. One of them mentions the age of consent.
Also, Barbara Pitt fan. Still don't know who Barbara Pitt is, but thank you for the €2, Marcus.
Romania being 15, so that must be Alan. Zack uses capitalization, while Alan doesn't. That's how we know that it was Alan who said, "Who cares? If she can count, then she ready to mount."
This is Hassan taking more shots at Nuxtaku in his week-long feud with me while defending his bro tips past. Alright, I never brought up his bro tips past because I felt like it was so long ago it's not worth it, but he's bringing up like random shit from forever ago and warping it into calling me a pedophile for insane reasons. Did you know that in his bro tips past he had a famous quote where he said if she's old enough to count, she's old enough to mount?
Come back again next week when we discuss the legendary question of all time, old enough to count, old enough to mount? Question mark?
These videos are definitely tasteless and feel like of their time, but still, like, you know, they are nothing on facilitating pedos.
If that's not pedophile behavior, I don't know what is.
When Hassan said that in 2013, he was playing a character, and he was asking it, not flat out stating it like Alan did. We can see Naxtaku right here not condemning those words at all. So he either used to not care about pedophile behavior, didn't think that it was pedophile behavior, or his attack on Hassan is knowingly deceitful. There's a difference between waifu and best girl. Waifus are mountable, so therefore the best girl isn't. However, the art of the best girl is lolly inclusive.
Just a tip here from me. Never ever, if you ever find yourself typing out best girl is lolly inclusive, don't do that. Don't do that. Take a step back from your computer and have a serious thought about getting therapy.
Nux is using that word in the petite anime character sense, not the cartoon CP sense. Nux's stance...
I don't know, bro. Even if it's petite anime, he says here that, look, Nux's own personal stance has always been pretty... pretty against the whole, like, against lolly, but this, yeah, it's not redeemable.
So personally not being into lolly hentai has been consistent for years, but it didn't stop him from posting it onto YouTube. Then Alan says, lollies are very mountable. Naxtaku responds, you're terrifying, Alan.
Like, I think if someone said to me that, you know, child anime characters are something that you'd be interested in having relations with in any capacity, I would probably say, yeah, that's enough, no more. No more. You're done. You are not coming near me, but no, this guy promoted him on his channel.
Moves on. This was 12...
Yeah, if you type in things like short stacked goblins, things being lolly inclusive, time to take a step away.
Days before Nux gave Alan that shout out on his channel. So Alan saying things like this didn't seem to be a problem to him.
and he takes the edge out of edgy.
Look at this art. This art is better. And it's Alan posting a comic about some boy kissing his dog. I wish I would be able to get sick from stuff like this again. By the way, don't ask why do I have that. Why do you have that? Red sent it to me. He always sends me fucked up shit like this. That guy's a sociopath, I tell ya. Red shows up and claims Alan is the one who sent it, and shows a screenshot from their DMs. Wow, you resort to Photoshop to make me look bad? Shame. Red shares another screenshot, showing some of Alan's earlier messages.
So basically, the crux here is that creepy nonce character is sending inappropriate art to children and promote it on Nuxtaku's channel.
People have no shame, shake my head. Also, I hope someone at school sees you watching this. Is that Minecraft? Yes, I'm 15. Deal with it. Oof, I feel old. He's literally the youngest guy here. I am the youngest? Oh, he is. Makes sense. Yep, Red is 15-year-olds personified. Ha, I'm still underage. So, cause you're talking to me, you are all technically pedophiles. Not me. Yup. Remember, the age of consent in Romania is 15, so I can smack your ass all I want.
Once again, another piece of advice, never ever ever say anything like that. If you are thinking things like that even, go and get help.
It's only been 20...
And if someone is doing that in your community, they should not be in your community. In fact, you should actually just consider calling the police in Romania. But seeing as how they did with Tate, they didn't do too well on that topic.
26 minutes since the last time Alan brought up the Romanian age of consent. Alan would make similarly inappropriate comments about Red on the 16th of December. But let's return to October 8th. You are willing to send me the most fucking disgusting shit you have. I only send it to you because you're 15. Exactly. Nobody else would. I initially planned to traumatize you because you were acting tough, but I underestimated you. Who, me? I'm not tough. I guess edgy instead of tough. I am edgy. Not that tough though. Yeah, I got that. I need to train you to become tough.
Once again, saying shit like this when you make your whole brand exposing internet predators and taking down Mr. Beast's predator friends and probably talking about how Hamas are evil, genocidal monsters who just want to harm Israelis and violate them. The call is coming from inside the house. This is your own community. This is what you've built online. These are the people who watch your content and love it.
Okay. At this point, Nuxtaku or the moderators should be intervening and investigating what's happening in the DMs between Alan and Red. However, there wouldn't be any moderators or rules on the server until 2020. In late 2019, the server was raided by gore spammers multiple times, and Nuxtaku did nothing about it. What finally made him appoint moderators is when his patrons pulled their pledges. This is one of his own newly appointed moderators saying it at the time. According to Red, on the first day they joined the server, Alan spammed their DMs with a bunch of gore and NSFW content. There are multiple instances of Red or Alan publicly mentioning Alan sending gore to Red. Here's one from October 6th. On October 14th, Alan mentioned showing his personal collection to Red. On
Like, you are sending this stuff to kids. Yeah. But he is like a wet blanket and won't make the first move. He did make the first move. He messaged me. We will do something together. But yeah, like, just listen to this, bro. Like, this is a guy who makes videos about how, like, every woman is an evil Twitch thought and they're all trying to groom underage men. And I think, like, a lot of people on social media platforms do that. I think a lot of the OF girls who promoted their content by hanging around, like, odd British TikTokers who generally had autism or other social skills issues that were social issues that were very popular with young people in the UK was grotesquely inappropriate. But, like, this is even like a further level of that.
January 1st, 2019, Alan actually posted a gore image into the voice chat channel and pinged Red. In February 2019, Red reacted to a meme by saying, "I can take pictures of men's penises being cut in half, but this is too much even for me." It was a GIF and just a tip. Yeah, for dramatic effect, Alan, shake my head. The message below contains nudity, and if we go one message further...
Underage men. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Apologies. underage men do equal boys. Apologies. But yeah, I mean, just sending this kind of stuff to a 14-year-old. Oh.
Further, we can see a message from
A 15-year-old, bro. What are you doing?
Naxtaku. Alan having a fascination with gore seemed to be pretty well known on the server. One regular user made this meme about the various quirks of the other regular members. Alan's comedic summary was, posting extreme mutilation pics. Notice that Naxtaku was pinged on this message. Sending this kind of material to a minor is very harmful and a crime, and it's been going on for 5 months, and Naxtaku has done nothing. Red would sometimes ask Alan to send him things. Send me the most fucked up shit you have. Look for it yourself. I want my friend to know you are worse than the dark web. Soyboy here is another adult user and also a small anime creator. He already knows that Red is underage.
Bruh, it's... I get some people here like anime and stuff, but these people are not great ambassadors for the anime VTuber community. Oh.
Despite this, he asks Red if he can send them something truly disturbing. Okay, Soy, send it to me. BT? Come on. I expected at least nuggets. If you don't know what that word means, don't look it up. Alan proceeds to drop codes to some extremely obscene comics. Thanks, Alan. Soy, I am extremely disappointed. Red, you scare me. That is actual animal rape and murder. I know. How is that not the most fucked up thing? Alan sent me a video of a man getting his head off by a machete. Real life, of course. Naxtaku was pinged about some...
Like, just... Also, this kid coming in and not knowing what a fucking, like, sex toy is. And it, by the way, there's actually just, like, this guy seemingly tried to isolate him as well, which is... This is just, like, abuse going on in not even private messages of your Discord where, you know, you could have probably seen that it came out. Like, via the voice chat. This is just straight up in the voice chat.
Something off topic immediately after that message, but it didn't show up. After getting Naxtaku to create the NSFW channel, Red suggested making a Not Safe for Life channel for Alan, to which Alan said, I wouldn't make Naxtaku watch something like that. You, on the other hand, can get it. Naxtaku's...
This is just such an odd way to talk to a child.
Nowhere to be seen, but then Soyboy mentions Toei Animation claiming one of his videos. Naxtaku replies to him with advice, once again showing how close he was to seeing these warning signs. Beyond conditioning Red into tolerating extremely shocking and obscene imagery, Alan also encouraged them to drop out of school. On Tuesday, October 9th, Red mentioned skipping school to binge-watch anime. Alan cheers them on and says that skipping school is badass, and that he's doing it as well. Because...
Bro, these are like the stories that you hear about some guy who ends up, you know, like... There was like this famous story in the UK called like Brock Bednar, I think. He was like yeah, that's it. His name was Brock Bednar. He was like a kid who was murdered by some creep he met on some game online, and just like the other guy was 19. He pretended to be like this millionaire guy and invited him to his house and then killed him in the UK. It's quite a famous story. Just like telling some kid to skip. This is just straight up grooming going on in your Discord.
He's a badass like Red. On October 10th, Naxtaku pings various users, including Red, to inform them that he finished reading the Black Clover manga all in one day. School got cancelled for the rest of the week for me because the head teacher got so I shall be around lots. Words like head teacher and school are used by children, not college students.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I don't know any country in which you'd hear head teacher for like above, you know, above like the age of 16, really.
Another clear red flag that Red is a minor right in Nox's face. What? Go to sleep, kid. Another clear indication that Red is a minor. Yeah, lol, 176 chapters in a day. This is 5 days before Red got Naxtaku to create the NSFW channel. If you're worried about that stabbing story, it's something that Red made up at the time. On Thursday, October 11th, Red mentions having skipped 4 days of school to binge anime. Another user cheers him on. School is a waste of time. On Monday, October 15th, Red thinks about joining a VC because there's a lot of people on. But he says that school starts in 30 minutes. Alan once again encourages Red to skip school. On Thursday, October 18th, Red asks Alan for advice on how to lie to their parents to get out of school. Anyone here a good liar? Alan makes multiple suggestions.
Like, listen to that. Listen to that, like, giving a child advice how to skip school. Like, just... Bro, this is just... There are many reasons that someone might not want to go to school, but you as an adult should never be advising a child that you don't know as to, like, how to not go to school. That's just insane.
October 3rd.
By the way, this thing also details how Nux Taku was like a promoter of Rule 34. This is about Nux Taku, one of Ethan Klein's strongest soldiers and a Hassan hater.
30th, Red pinged Alan because he wants to speak to someone that he trusts. Red mentions having the problem of no longer going to school. Alan asks if they quit like a badass mad lad, once again encouraging Red to drop out of school. On December 9th, Violet asks, "Are you guys students or out of school?" Alan says he and Red dropped out. Red says that Alan inspired him. On January 4th, 2019, Red once again says he quit school. He doesn't care about it anymore. On April 10th, 2019, Red described themselves as a 15-year-old dropout. Alan shows up and says, "Agreed," and that's coming from an older dropout. So how did Red manage to drop out of school? Let's go to February 2019. Red is talking to Bex, who seems to be having some form of breakdown caused by opiate withdrawals. Many of Beck's messages actually mention them being addicted to drugs, spending all their money on drugs, and having various mental illnesses. Please keep that in mind when passing judgment about what I'm going to show next. I might be overly cautious here because YouTube does not like when certain things are discussed.
By the way, there's a trigger warning here for, like, SH is I think the term he uses, but just a warning for that.
Such as SH. And in this exchange, knowing they're in the presence of a minor, Bex explains how it works and basically makes it sound really cool. Red mentions having used SH to manipulate their parents into letting them quit school. Really? That's impressive. Red expressed that they felt like a terrible person for doing it, how it felt, and they mention only doing it twice, to which Bex says, "Psh, imagine only doing it twice. I decided to stop before I couldn't." Real sad boys have on their thighs. Red then reveals that they built their upper arm a lot of times. Bex comments, "Ooh, nice." Again, this was a very irresponsible way to talk about these things with a minor. I don't have any experience or knowledge of how SH works, but Red claims that this needle stuff apparently happened way before they joined.
I wonder what Tectone and Dan Saltman and fucking Nux Taku talked about on their past, their podcast.
The server, but they claim that it was not enough to cause the effect, which makes SH addictive. Based on their comments from back then, there was clearly a unique sensation there, but again, I don't know for sure. Red claimed that the first time they did it for real was on October 31st, 2018. They had a fight with their family, which led to them dropping out. On the day before, Red asked Alan for advice on how to get over their fear of the pain of SH. I'm not sure if Alan is jokingly suggesting that Red should try flipping, as in juggling knives, or if he should try using a folding knife, and he used the word flipping by mistake. Red seemed to interpret it as a suggestion.
Yeah, it is so incredibly fucked up, and it is so incredibly fucked up that this guy makes video, like all of these right-wingers who are moralizing on left-wingers' actions on the internet, and telling you that people deserve to be sued and all of this shit. When you see all of this, when you see their behavior is just like unbelievable, that this guy's whole career is dedicated to being like a moralizer on how degeneracy is taking over, and this is your fucking Discord server.
For a type of knife, and asks if he could use a kitchen knife. If you cut yourself, you'll realize the pain is pretty whatever. Okay, thanks. You're welcome. If we scroll down a bit, we can see the exchange where Red asked Alan to talk about the problem of no longer going to school. They hadn't actually dropped out yet. That would happen soon after the 31st, when the SH first occurred. Red would eventually develop an addiction to it. In February 2019, we can see Red mention that he talks to the least people in real life on the server. I have talked to 3 different people in real life in the last month. 5 months after joining the server, they've dropped out of school, they are self-harming, and they've become socially isolated.
Like, bro, this is literally like a classic tale of grooming, of someone who is underage, who ends up in a situation because they're in a Discord with a weirdo pervert promoted by their favorite VTuber online, who they have some kind of connection with, who they think are like, you know, who they think are someone to be trusted, who says that their content is for 13-year-olds. It's... You just don't know what to say here.
Despite Alan constantly behaving in an inappropriate, abusive, and downright criminal manner towards Red, Red perceived him as trustworthy. Red saw Alan as a good friend, bestest friend, and the reason why they haven't committed. We have already established that the odds that Nuxtaku didn't know that Red was a minor are super low. The further we looked, the more examples we saw of messages that must have been in Nuxtaku's line of sight that would indicate to any reasonable person that Red is a minor, or that Alan is sending some weird stuff to him. Nuxtaku was also familiar with Alan. They've talked a lot, he's mentioned him lots of times, they hung out in VCs, and he gave Alan a shout out on his channel. But did Nuxtaku know about the other part of Alan's reputation? Check this out. On January 16th of 2019, Alan posted a bait and switch video into the general chat channel. The thumbnail shows a naked woman, but when the video is played, it switches to a video containing stuff like this. Despite the warnings given by other members to not look at it, Red can be seen giving their reaction to the video. You can take that as a corroboration for my testimony of what the video is. Violet said that Alan should be banned. Nuxtaku...
Like, it is just unbelievable that someone like this operates on the internet, that someone has a community like this on the internet. It is really quite something. It's just...
Who was then pinged because Alan did something bad. Nux shows up and says, "Wow, didn't see that one coming," and he then leaves. He took no action. He didn't delete the video.
Like, imagine just being aware that there's this stuff going on in your fucking online community for like 5-6 months and you know loads of kids watch your stuff. It is just like unbelievable.
Video or punish Alan or anything. Again, that was January of 2019. Nuxtaku would still have Alan on the Rant Cafe podcast in July and August.
And next, we also, believe it or not, have Alan Wiebes himself.
Hi there. Sorry, I'm the replacement for Animac Forever. He's dead now. I killed him. So you're gonna have to
I'm promoting pedos. Yay!
get accustomed to my presence from now on.
Despite everything that was happening for months, Nuxtaku publicly endorsed this guy and presented him to his audience as this harmless, funny troll guy. When I asked Red about these old messages concerning their personal situation at the time, they said it was the beginning of probably the darkest period in their life. The good news is that they stopped self-harming in 2021. They went into a...
There is at least some kind of happy ending, you know, like a happy ending, someone at least being in a situation that's better.
dropout rehabilitation program, and they are now working on their university degree. To clarify some things, I reached out to Red because I saw their post on the Discord from years ago. They didn't reach out to me, no one tipped me off about them, I discovered them myself. I haven't conducted any in-depth interview with this person. I would just send them questions every now and then and laid out this timeline and asked for their thoughts. They described it with the words, "All of that is accurate to my knowledge." They don't remember anyone at the server really recommending them to seek help. When I asked about how they felt about Alan's behavior, they recognized that it was inappropriate towards a 14-year-old, but they don't believe he had any sexual grooming intention or meant what he was doing in that manner.
I don't think it really, like, obviously this is someone speaking from their own personal experience, but what I will say is I don't think it really... I don't think it really changes anything of like, that's a 14-year-old who you knew you were talking to as a 14-year-old who you knew was a minor. And just you end up in this situation, and you're right as well, Drac, about there being huge amounts of people who do like this kind of stuff in like organized groups. Wasn't there a thing with like the FBI just busting a load of these Roblox pervs doing it?
He also mentioned Alan being very troubled at the time, which, based on Alan's messages, assuming he isn't lying, seems to be true. Based on the logs I've shown, it's tempting to conclude that the influences that Red was exposed to through Naxtaku's unmoderated Patreon Discord server led to them dropping out of school at age 14 and getting into SH.
This is genuinely not a leap, and this going on in the general chat of your fucking Discord. The general chat of your Discord is truly unbelievable.
Timeline laid out by the messages and by Red's testimony does support the idea, but to actually determine if that's the underlying reality would require further investigation. However, regardless of the actual consequences, allowing people to encourage or praise this kind of behavior in the first place is already insane. What is clear is that Red was repeatedly exposed to extremely obscene NSFW content and gore on the server, and that Naxtaku made the NSFW channel because Red requested it, and then accepted more money from them. If Naxtaku was too busy to moderate the server properly, it's not like he was totally unfamiliar with the concept of moderating.
By the way, as well, so Naxtaku is 29 now, so what, this is 6 years, this is about 8 years ago, so he was 21 years ago doing this kind of stuff.
If he was, the 16th message on his Discord server was a user recommending him to designate moderators, to which Nux responded, indeed. One of the basic responsibilities of a Discord server operator is to make sure that children are not exposed to adult content on their server. By allowing Red on the server and allowing them to be exposed to all of these harmful influences, based on my estimation, Naxtaku made $46. Not only did he fail to carry out that basic responsibility, he made money from neglecting it, something which would eventually become a core element of his success. If you remember, the Chris Tyson server closed its NSFW channel in January 2019, before the server went public. Naxtaku's Patreon NSFW channel is still open in 2026. There is no age verification process, and anyone with $1 can join in. The channel hasn't had a new post since 2024, but it was still active when Naxtaku was casting judgment on Ava Tyson. It's probably good to point out that Naxtaku and Ava Tyson were both born in 1996. Tyson in July and Naxtaku in February. Naxtaku is a few months older than Tyson, but he was making demonstrably worse mistakes at the same age, and continued to make those mistakes for years.
Hello, Ryan. Good to see you. Yes, I've typed yes in chat, but nice to see you. Yeah, I'll talk on Discord. You can add me if you want.
Years afterwards. There is no evidence for Tyson ever grooming anyone on the server, but her career was still destroyed by the controversy, something which Naxtaku cheered on. And with that, I conclude the first part of our dive into Naxtaku's history. In the next part,
I really want to find the bit at the start. Wait. Let's see if it's...
15-year-old boy.
It starts off with a bit about Tectone. Hold on. This video is actually popping off a lot.
Degeneracy.
It's not surprising that people that are based purely on hedonism, that they think you could fuck everything that moves. They think that sex should be publicized and taught to little babies and children, teaching them to change their genders and shit like that.
He's against sex being taught to young children and little babies. He hasn't always been open about his religious beliefs, but he has a long history of criticizing the Twitch platform for making adult content available to minors.
Twitch can't decide whether they want to be a 13-plus gaming website or an 18-plus porn website. Ugh. Twitch wants to rake in all that advertiser bucks for being a 13-plus gaming website. They want to be on every single...
By the way, this is fucking mental. This is content for kids, by the way, as well. Just you playing fucking, like... I know there's Minecraft stuff that isn't necessarily always for children, but, like... This kind of Minecraft stuff, like, is this in his video, like, fucking hopping along with, like, epic music and fucking going, like, the degeneracy of Twitch?
in smart television in America because that's how they get so many of their little young impressionable viewers. They are trying to be a 13-plus gaming website as well as a porn site at the same exact fucking time. Just recently, you had the implied nudity meta on Twitch where they allowed artistic nudity, which is, again...
Bro, people were grooming people in your Discord server. And even if they weren't sexually grooming them, they were certainly grooming them into some very dark stuff. It's really quite something. Like, I just wanna show you like one other part of this video. Well, I might show you two, but listen to this.
2020, he requested his audience to email him the most cursed NSFW videos or memes for a chance to win $1,000. No limit on how horrible it is. Despite requesting NSFW content, the announcement does not list a minimum age, so Nuxtaku was giving a financial incentive to minors to find the worst NSFW content they could. After a day, he'd already received thousands of submissions. He would review these submissions a month later in a video with Oompaville and Iron Mouse.
I've never even pondered the thought that we could have Lolly and Guro and Bondage all in one thing. That's amazing.
VTuber is a nonce. Who's surprised? Yeah, I once, as I said, fork found in kitchen kind of moment. And as I said, you can fuck with anime. I enjoyed. I've only seen a bit of it, but what's the Cowboy Bebop? I enjoyed that.
Oh my god.
Among those submissions was a video that one of Nuxtaku's child fans had recorded of themselves.
Oh, what? Bro.
This guy got videos and uploaded them to YouTube of child fans sending them videos, and this guy notes how, like, throughout, like, this video, how all of Nuxtaku's comments were like, I am 13 and I am seeing this. Wait. So you think that the Discord server's like the worst kind of stuff? He had a Reddit with no age limit where people were sharing lolly and hentai and stuff. But he also did this.
January 2022. Moderation-wise, the Reddit was totally unattended for years. It doesn't matter whether Nuxtaku knew that dozens of minors were openly posting, sharing, and talking about adult content on his Reddit with adult strangers. As the head of that community, he bears ultimate responsibility for what he allows to happen in it. It was his responsibility to establish rules against this behavior.
Like, the second someone starts spamming gore or like horrible stuff on a Reddit that you made, I think you would do everything to get that down. Unless you really didn't give a shit and you knew that kind of stuff was part of your brand.
And to enforce them. Even the most basic, common sense rule for an NSFW community was too much to ask. On December 30th of 2021, Nuxtaku would launch his Discord server.
That's right, I opened a public Discord server. I swore to myself.
Users under the age of 16 aren't allowed to join. Keep that in mind, because he's doing some really good work here, preventing under 16-year-olds from joining this time.
I would never do it because the degeneracy would be too much, and the degeneracy is already too much. So join that Discord server. It's a public server. It's open. 16 or older, though, please?
I am happy that he has a minimum age rule this time, but setting it to 16 is a massive self-report that he is aware that a large chunk of his audience is underage. It's also highly questionable, given his decision to launch the server with a set of NSFW channels, including an NSFW voice channel. To be honest, I was surprised that there were NSFW channels when the server rules said 16 and up, because...
So you're letting people do NSFW roleplay at the age of 16 in 2022? Jeez. But of course, he's coming for Hassan.
NSFW is supposed to be 18 and up. I mean, if you already watch Nux, fair. To be clear, those channels were supposed to be only for adults. But given the state of Discord's age verification, setting a channel into NSFW mode doesn't really do anything to stop minors from accessing it. All they have to do is lie about their age to Discord. The channels were fortunately removed 6 days after the server was open to the public. The announcement of their removal does mention issues like minors sneaking in by lying about their age.
Running a 16 plus Discord and having those things on there, even if you said, no, you've got to be 18 plus,
Age. However, the main reason was that having NSFW channels disqualified the server from Discord partnership. Some users protested. Nux's content already involved a lot of NSFW media, so why not allow people to post it in his community? A staff member responded that the age group of the Billies, that being the name of Nuxtaku's fandom, wasn't appropriate for it.
I just think, like, when you sit here and you have this thing of just a Discord where you're aware who your fans are, you are aware that, like, they're young, your staff and community are aware who they are, and then you have this ability to go online and grandstand and talk about degeneracy and hedonism and problematize religion and say, oh, Islam is so bad, isn't it? Brother, maybe if some of the people watching your content saw... had found Islam, maybe they wouldn't be doing this kind of stuff. Hold on, I want to see if I can find him. Wait.
Children were watching his content. The descriptions of his videos used to explicitly label them. I can demonstrate that it was absolutely undeniable that Nuxtaku knew that children were watching his content. The descriptions of his videos used to explicitly label them as PG-13.
This guy made PG-13 hentai lolly videos.
Disclaimer can even be found on the Monkey comic video. That is an explicit admission that Nuxtaku was fine with 13-year-olds seeing this stuff, but we can do better. Months before the Monkey comic video and the Animal Crossing video, Nuxtaku saw one of his child fans with his own eyes. On October 31st of
like, honestly, I will once again recommend this video because it is very good. But just the fact that this guy is like a little rightoid grifter now and just talks about degeneracy and all of the problems on the internet and has the audacity to go after everyone to talk about how Ethan Klein is amazing, how like, you know, he's suing all these dumb Twitch thoughts who need their money taken away because they've been evil around kids. My brother, what have you been up to on your fucking Discord? What has been going on? What have you been up to, man? Like, come on. Yeah, he wants kids to see his content. He wants yeah, I think that is a really good point. It's not even just fine that kids see it. He wants them to see it. Yes, he wants to make it clear that his content is for children. It's for people who are over 13. Like weird pornography that may lead kids getting into even worse fucking stuff when they're very young. And, what can you even say? What can you even say? It's just like, it's never ending. It's...
Male gentlemen, we are here on the Nuxtaku channel, alright, to do a lore dive into every heresy according to Christianity. This is very exciting. Let's do a deep dive. We're doing Christian.
This is the kind of content he makes now, you know. He's found God. He keeps the under 16s off his NSFW channels. That's what God told him. No more of that. Just... Ugh. No, I don't think I can play his Bad Guy remix. Nuxtaku, Ethan Klein. An hour-long video. Just now they got sued and lost everything. Does he accuse people of being anti-Semitic in this?
Damages. Endless tweets talking about wanting to kill me. All right, Iran has killed Canadian-American VTuber Nux Taku. I'm not Israeli, but they just hate Jews. 75,000 likes. All right, we got the next one here. Nux Taku, the heat-seeking missile heading towards his location. 5,000 likes.
Look, the amount of stuff you've been promoting to kids is maybe these people were talking about that.
Well, I mean, to be honest, if someone's a pedophile, I don't even blame them. Next, hasn't tweeted since the 12th. We might have gotten him. Maybe he's dead. 113,000 likes. Moving on.
Bro, you're upset about this, but we see what you're promoting. What a great expose of creepy Don, who's got creepy Dons in his community, who's promoting stuff to 13+. By the way, that's Nick and Ross. Nikandros. Nick and Ross, I'd recommend. Hello, Oliver. You can see it here. This is his channel. His video is actually growing a lot. But he is now speaking out against hedonistic degenerates, so... I don't know what you can even say at that point. It is and someone said that Nick and Ross exposed Mutahar for being a fake engineer. Why was Mutahar a fake engineer? Also, I don't really know much about these accounts. Some of them seem like a bit right-wing, but like also just don't hate Hassan and just hate these guys even more. And yeah. Ugh, it's just tough, isn't it? No, I think he was talking about himself being like allegedly a pedo and being struck by an Iranian heat-seeking missile. Mr. Mutahar was a chronic bullshitter. Yeah, I remember him. I think he used to play Slenderman. Did he? Some Ordinary Gamers Slenderman? Hey, Gamers Slenderman. Did he play Slenderman? I feel like that's where I watched him, yeah. This is hedonistic degeneracy.
I couldn't get this game.
Who knew he was a fake engineer playing Slenderman to influence the youths? Yeah, I ain't a real engineer. So... But yeah, I think also this is a tale of, like, a lot of these people who now purport to care about kids literally do it because it's just popular at the moment. It's like all those fucking Sting videos, you know, where they go and film predators for entertainment. You know, like that's what it's about. It's not about actually caring. Anyway, that is enough out of the world, the creepy world of Nux Taku and his pedo mates. Talk to you later. Okay, see you later. Right. We've still got some other stories to cover. Oh my god. Have any of you heard about the evil anti-Semitism that's going on in Brighton? It is terrifying. Oh, actually, first we'll talk about Australia. So I'm sure that all of you have seen at least some of this. So the New South Wales police have just been brutalizing random protesters to protect Israeli Prime Minister... Israeli President Isaac Herzog. Look at that fucking... Look at this.
guys getting a bit of... They pick on some guys.
They have been on some crazy, crazy shit, these Australian police. They've been, just attacking protesters. I mean, I'm sure some of you have seen this video. This video is fucking insane. It's from a few days ago. Look at what they've done. Look at what they've done to this kid.
That's all on camera. You lay into him on the ground. Every fucking punch is on camera.
It is fucking insane. They just beat the shit out of a random protester where you can see his, like, bruises all over him. And it really is just never ending. And all of this is to protect this guy. Fucking... This man is the man who needs protecting.
In a way, that has built a machine of evil right at our doorstep. It's an entire nation out there that is responsible. It's not true. This rhetoric about civilians not aware, not involved, it's absolutely not true. They could have risen up, they could have fought against that evil regime which took over Gaza in a coup d'etat, murdering their family members who were in Fatah. There's a state.
By the way, also not true. Hamas launched a preemptive coup because they knew that the West was conspiring to coup them. And also, by the way, I think the reason that someone timed you out is not because they like Graham Plattner or because they have sympathy. I think it's just sometimes, like, people, the mods have said that they don't just always want to hear about, like, Hassan and Plattner, which is, like, we know that Hassan shout out of Plattner is a bad thing. I understand that. And I don't disagree with you that Plattner is a really repugnant guy that I struggle to deal with sympathy for. But yeah, like, Herzog is the guy being protected, but actually don't worry, because as Elon Levy has told us, Australia was rocked by anti-Israel protests. At least he admits it, that they're anti-Israel, not anti-Semitic. With death chants and calls to perpetrate more terrorist atrocities because a malicious campaign of lies. The crowds were whipped up into a frenzy by a totally made-up quote about Herzog.
A man who also said, and I quote, "There are no innocent civilians in Gaza."
I agree. There are many, many innocent Palestinians.
A man who...
I like how he needs a 9-second
Entire nation out there that is responsible. It's not true. This rhetoric about civilians not aware, not involved, it's absolutely not true.
My question is this, if I may. You seem to hold the people of Gaza, the civilians of Gaza, responsible for not removing Hamas, and therefore, by implication, that makes them legitimate targets.
No, I didn't say that.
But
I did not say it. It's an...
I like how he announced it and then says, no, I didn't say that, I didn't say that, I didn't say that. It is actually unbelievable that this is just constantly going on. Like, constantly just going on. That this doesn't stop. Just lies by Elon Levy. And, like, how Herzog is even there is insane. This is Chris Stiotti talking about this, a member of the UN Commission of Inquiry that concluded Israel is committing genocide.
Because although President Herzog is a ceremonial head of his own words,
oh, fuck, sorry.
And is
I tried to turn this down, sorry.
A ceremonial head of state, he is the head of state of the State of Israel. And that's a state that has been found by courts already, by the Commission of Inquiry, UN Commission, of which I'm a member, and many others, as having been responsible for war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. So he doesn't come here as an individual to pay his respects to the Jewish community. He comes here as the head of state of a state that has been found to be responsible for some of the most serious international crimes.
I just am really, really fucking shocked about, like, all of this, that this is just portrayed as, like, anti-Semitic and just evil, and him being protested against is in any way unjustified when, you know, if you look into who and what he is a genocidal monster involved in the Zionist project. Like, he works in a country currently denying the two-state solution, which is the policy of their government is to support it, the two-state solution. Australia, all of these Western governments.
And that's just not right. It's simple as that.
And you actually think that the Australian government should have acted and the federal police should have acted to actually go further and charge or arrest him?
Our commission has concluded that President Herzog is responsible for the incitement to genocide. Now, he has denied that, of course, and we have reported extensively on the comments he has made in response to our findings. But nonetheless, even taking into account the response he made, we've considered the full context of his comments and stand by our conclusion that he's responsible for the incitement to genocide. Now, that's something that goes beyond his role as a ceremonial head of state. This is a personal issue, his own words. And for that reason, too, he should not have been allowed to come to Australia.
There are 9 mentions of Herzog on here. It's an entire nation out there. It is not true. It is not true. So that's the one we saw. The commission notes the statement that Herzog did not expressly call for genocide of the Palestinian people. However, the statement must be assessed in the context of the beginning of a war where the Israeli security forces just initiated their military operation in Gaza. Hence, the statement that an entire nation is responsible for the attack may reasonably be interpreted as incitement to the Israeli security forces personnel to target the Palestinians in Gaza as a group as being collectively culpable for the 7th of October. Herzog later stated there are many, many innocent Palestinians who don't agree with the actions of Hamas. However, the commission considers that the later clarification was provided to deflect responsibility for the initial statement. The commission finds that in the initial statement, Herzog was unequivocally clear that all civilians in Gaza were aware of and involved in and responsible for Hamas's actions. According to Herzog, if the civilian population did not agree with... I mean, yeah, this is pretty obvious and what someone would also kind of say. Amnesty International reported a photograph that shows the slogan Hebrew on an Israeli military watchtower in the West Bank, "Destroy Gaza." Wait, why is that noted there? There are no one involved, proclaimed by soldiers. Oh, he's talking about how people have proclaimed this. Let's have a look what the other mentions. Direct and public incitement to commit genocide. Isaac Herzog. On incitement, the commission concludes that Israeli President Herzog incited to genocide, which is true. It's completely true. Ugh. Yeah. I mean, Israel will have known that Hamas planned something, but also I think Israel fell asleep at the wheel, like, ultimately. They have all of these advanced techniques of surveillance, and they genuinely believe that that protects them from any kind of blowback from their horrifying policies towards people. But don't worry, we got to hear Isaac Herzog explain how he's suffering, thanks to this Murdoch media is something that Australians say. They talk about this.
Protesters have already won, in a way. Normal law-abiding citizens have lost out. The overwhelming majority of Australians who support Israel and stand in solidarity with the Australian Jewish population, well, we've lost out too. Because the feral protesters who have been on our streets for more than 2 years, since only hours after more than 1,200 Israelis were slaughtered on October the 7th, 2023, well, today they've conspired to dominate the news and disrupt our lives again.
Let's hear what Herzog had to say. I don't need to hear anything from Bold Fraudiola.
These demonstrations, in most cases, what you hear and see comes to undermine and delegitimize our right, my nation's right, the nation which I am the head of state of its mere existence, and is contradictory to whatever ever was said and done by Australia.
Yeah, they're not pro-anything, they're anti-Israel.
Yeah, being anti-Israel is a legitimate and good position to hold.
Raped, murdered and mutilated, the pro-Palestinian mobs took to our streets to celebrate this episode.
By the way, Sky News in the UK is what I mean. By the way, I know it's about Rupert Murdoch controlling the media. I didn't realize he had such sway, and I didn't realize, like, I knew this before. Sky News Australia is, because I saw it with Douglas Murray regularly being welcomed on it. Douglas Murray is really, really not welcome in British media. Like, he doesn't really appear much on British media because of how extreme he is. Yet on Sky News Australia, he's always around it. Like, these people love it. It's really, really fucking odd how much he's on here. And this is just like someone just saying over and over again, oh, yeah.
Australian of...
That, like, it's okay to, this is like just like someone eulogizing Israel and condemning protesters. It's not reporting. Like, listen to this one as well. So they're talking about Grace Tame. She won Australian of the Year because she was an advocate for the for survivors of sexual assault. However, now Grace Tame chanted Intifada, so it's time for her to be done with. You know, you cannot talk about Palestine. You cannot talk about the Murdoch media. And so this is Sky News reporting on her.
Former Australian of the Year Grace Tame has defended her actions on Monday night, where she angrily whipped up a crowd of protesters by demanding a globalised intifada or uprising. Less than 10 kilometres from where 15 innocent lives were lost in Australia's worst ever terror attack last...
By the way, once again, by the Islamic State, if you ever want to know why all of these things fall out of the media and why we stop hearing about them, is because they're carried out by people who are part of the Islamic State. What I will say is not everyone on the protest is a left-winger. However, I would say overwhelmingly that, like, at least groups like PSC, Palestine Solidarity Campaign in the UK, are a little bit left-wingy. And generally you see a large amount of left-wingers. But what you don't see is a large presence of, you know, people who are militant Islamists. Like, they're not probably going out to protest.
December. In a lengthy statement, she criticised Israel, made no mention of October 7, and called protesters peaceful, even though they breached lines and one of them allegedly bit the finger of a police officer.
We can literally see these police officers beating the shit out of protesters, but no. Oh, a police officer got bitten. Oh, I'm so fucking sad about the poor police officer getting bitten.
The Prime Minister, Premier and police boss all said the protesters caused the violence. Former Australian of the Year Grace Tame has...
So that's the difference with why Sky News is UK is slightly better. I mean, I'm not advocating for Sky News here, by the way. Let's have a listen to this.
You find it extraordinary, I certainly do, that the protesters, critics, whatever you want to call them, they've completely forgotten what happened less than 2 months ago.
It is utterly
exactly
ridiculous.
right, Pete. I mean, I don't understand why these pro-Hamas protesters who are going out there protesting effectively in favour of terrorist organisations constantly resort to violence.
You find it...
The irony of showing a police officer being violent. And Hell for Michelle, thank you for the gifted, as always. Thank you for the support. Presley Peggy, enjoy and spam your damn emojis. Choose one and get that in here. I'm going to be doing the Chris thumbs up. Created by the wonderful Trevor Trove Tales. But yeah. A police officer called Charlie has suffered a finger bite. It's like, you can see these videos of just police officers fucking brutalizing people. Oh my God, actually, wait. Listen to this one.
Every time you up, every time.
And Gaza's gonna be a car park.
You want the other side?
That's saying the quiet part.
That's saying the quiet part out loud.
Out loud.
Look at this. I have to rewatch this. This is like spotting a mythical leprechaun.
And Gaza's gonna be a car park.
You want the other side?
Look at this guy. He's almost as tall. He's not, like, he's only just taller than this guy sat down.
That's saying the quiet part out loud.
That's saying the quiet part out loud.
I mean, it's grotesque and repugnant, and it's so funny as well. This guy has up a has a sign, and I spoke about this on my I spoke about this on Twitter. This guy has a sign claiming that, like, you can't chant Intifada and do any of that stuff, but he has his friend next to him going, Gaza's gonna be a car park, and like he nods along, and it's just unbelievable. Like, these people hear about actual mass slaughter and extermination and they like it, but God forbid you say the word intifada. By the way, I met someone who got arrested for saying intifada, and his t-shirt is part of this organization called Lion of Zion. And on the topic of Israelis promoting inappropriate stuff to children, these people celebrated the pager attack recently. They had a pager attack celebration, the Lions of Zion. But it's not just him who's strange.
Consensus amongst international lawyers is that these pager attacks were prohibited, indiscriminate attacks under international humanitarian law.
Now, an event planned in Melbourne will celebrate what organisers call Israel's ingenuity. This flyer shared online promoting...
Look at this. This organisation is promoting the pager attack by organising a Nerf battle game for all ages. That's a kid's thing, bro. Who's gonna be doing a Nerf battle when you're the age of like fucking 40, unless you're with your kid?
The free event to children, promising a Nerf gun battle and martial arts training.
We have a little bit of fun, and we tell them the story about a heroic operation that they may or may not know about.
The Lions of Zion, unapologetic.
I really like how you can just actually go and advocate for mass slaughter, but God forbid you dare to do anything in favour of Palestine.
For hosting the event. The group formed around a year after the October 7 attacks in 2023 to stand against what it says is the ongoing harassment of the Jewish community and inaction to address it.
I think that it's past time that Jewish people had to apologise for existing and defending themselves.
Members of Australia's Lebanese community we spoke to reacting with shock.
The fact that it's even being celebrated is disgraceful. But more to the point, what relevance does it have to Australia?
Progressive organisation, the Jewish Council of Australia, describing the Lions of Zion as a fringe far-right group.
The images are so...
They might be a fringe far-right group, but they're out in the streets. Like, you can literally read about their ideology. They draw inspiration from Zayev Jabotinsky and the Beitar movement, which championed Jewish pride, self-reliance, and the unapologetic defense of our national rights. Like, this is just far-right fascist extremism that's allowed, and these people are allowed to portray themselves as, like, major victims of anti-Semitism and persecution when out in the streets they're allowed to do this.
Associated with the event that I've seen with these sort of cartoons of guns, pitching it as this family-friendly event, I think that that's really concerning because it means that they're bringing children into their ideology.
We always call for cohesion and social cohesion, and
yeah, of course. The pager attack was. You could never say that was. Sorry, you can say that that's ingenious, but God forbid you say that flying paragliders over the border fence that is highly militarized against you is, you know, is in any way ingenious. Just, yeah.
And tolerance of each other. This is promoting the other and not the combined effect of what it has on the Lebanese that were suffering from this atrocity.
SBS also approached Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke for comment. His office directed questions to Victoria Police, which says it's aware of the event and will continue to monitor for any safety risks. A number of other Jewish community groups have distanced themselves from the organisation, declining to comment for this story. The Lions of Zion tell me despite those calls for the event to be cancelled, it's still scheduled to go ahead.
Do you reckon the little gnome gentleman was there fucking singing his little song?
Tysok Husey, SBS World News.
Just like the fact that this is just allowed, like a little guy like this running around, you know, someone who is this guy is allowed to sing about Gaza being a car park is just unbelievable. Is calling someone a homunculus offensive? I just want to check. Because I was thinking about that. And it's like, this isn't, by the way, this isn't just like an unintentional issue that's sort of come up out of nowhere. You can literally see this Australian anti-Semitism envoy talking about how this doesn't include Islamophobia.
Legislation would cover anti-Semitism, but not Islamophobia. When did you realise that? Or did you know that from the outset? That was part of the design?
Oh, okay. I did know that the legislation was focused on anti-Semitism because that was the intent of the legislation. It was to respond to what had been, a rise of anti-Semitism. I don't know when I focused on the fact it was just anti-Semitism, but that will be part. I'll be happy to provide you with a timetable.
I really enjoy how anti-Semitism is this special bigotry which, doesn't affect the jobs that people can get. It doesn't affect the vast majority of lives lived by the vast amount of Jewish people in Western society. Yet apparently it is the most special that we all have to focus on, or else. It's real, it matters, it's not nice for people to be targeted on the basis of, who they are and immutable characteristics. Political beliefs are obviously a different thing when it comes to supporting the genocide of the Palestinian people. That is something that should be criticized and one should be made to feel uncomfortable. But the notion that this is just something that a multi-millionaire who lives in a Bel Air mansion is actually a victim akin to someone who is a black person and deserves more focus than that, or an immigrant, is just unbelievable, genuinely.
But I just don't have that timetable.
Did you raise concerns that it wasn't covering Islamophobia, or did you support legislation that didn't cover Islamophobia?
Senator, I don't believe that the issue of whether it covered Islamophobia or not was a matter that my office was concerned about. They were concerned about the scope of the legislation as a whole, and they were concerned about, as I said, whether it would work, and that the exceptions seemed to be rather broad.
Yes, you are right. It definitely does affect the vast majority of Jewish people. They will experience someone saying something rude, something unacceptable, something that is unjustified and awful. Simultaneously, Palestinians experience that, Muslims experience that, alongside unbridled slaughter perpetrated by Western governments that is not only celebrated in our media and by figures who face no consequences for doing any of that kind of stuff, but also people are valorized for doing exactly that against Palestinians and Muslims, people in Iraq who were mass slaughtered as a result of their ethnicity and being otherized and being exterminated because they were ostensibly backwards Islamic savages. Right now, we might do that in Iran again. Right now, it looks like we're maybe gonna do that. And so what I mean is, it's a kind of bigotry, definitely. I think it is one that, any kind of bigotry and interpersonal racism we should deal with. But on the structural level, you're right. It's not the same as anti-black racism and the consequences that holds for black people and the hangovers of it. I mean, I think that anyone is welcome to criticize any religion and the problems that maybe come from ultra-orthodox thoughts and ultra-orthodox religion and the regressive things that ultra-conservatives may inflict on those around them, their family members, and practices which are not acceptable. But simultaneously, I think when someone is just oh, this is something that's innate in Judaism, ultimately religion is about a personal engagement with God. That's it. That's it. Any religion is about your personal engagement with God. And people are entitled to that. And I don't think we should make broad sweeping statements about anyone's, I like that comment, Jules. It's important to recognize the difference between systemic racism and marginalization and societal interpersonal bigotry. Yes, 100%. Interpersonal bigotry is bad and it's unacceptable. And it does sometimes lead to, extreme violence being inflicted on marginalized people, which is unacceptable in any form. Simultaneously, on a structural level, the experience of being black or an immigrant in America is incomparable. The fact that we have a president, you know, who's simultaneously so concerned about anti-Semitism that he's manipulating college campuses, which are actually much more a space where it's not anti-Semitism, it's criticism of Israel. But he is literally also openly at the World Economic Forum talking about Somalis being low IQ. That is something that is of far more significance and importance, in my opinion, I'm afraid. And I think what Trump is doing to immigrants and the infliction of suffering on them that has gone on and on for years, decades, and the way in which people suffer not just interpersonal racism, but a structural racism that makes life so much harder is really, really tough, you know? Oh, God, what is going on at your fucking martial arts studios? Is this a form of heritage you were born into? Yeah? What is going on with your fucking... guys, stay away. Keep your kids away from Taekwondo. Leftist needs to learn more defensive skills, I feel. I think I agree with you. I think I do agree with you, yeah. It's Indian food is hitting. Blessed be Bengal. Bro, that's almost a bannable offense, because you can't... There's a ban on talking about, of Indian food, and I think it's particularly North Indian food because I'm allergic. So please, 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 come on. Also, just on this topic of the police brutality, look at this as well. Like, just like 5 police officers just beating people. Why has this police officer got, like, police drawn onto his... What is this outfit? What is going on over in Australia? Why is this like this? Bro, that looks like something I would make for as like a poster competition for a kid. Just fucking insane. Just fucking insane. We live in a democracy, though. Don't worry, guys. And by the way, it doesn't end here. So a woman 69 is in hospital with broken vertebrae after police allegedly pushed her to the ground. A 69-year-old woman. Look at this. They've got a guy on the ground and they just beat the shit out of him. I won't show that one. That's the guy who had all the bruises. Where's the sheikh who led the prayer? Why can't I see this? Hold on, I'll pull the sheikh up. In the democracy, mate. You're not marching in our democracy. That is not happening. That is not happening, mate. He is here. Oh, that's not what I wanted to watch. Wait, do they have the video of the sheikh? But also, the title of this article, I can't remember if I read through this one because I read it 2 days ago. Conflict at the Sydney anti-Herzog rally was near inevitable once we gave the state the power to suppress protests. I mean, of course, this is no doubt that this is true. Like, they're talking about these rust-through legislations to suppress protests. Same problem in the UK. But what I will also say is the conflict is inevitable because when you invite a genocidal monster to your country and you give them the right to do as they please in your country, where there are people who have made clear that they don't like this guy being in your country and want to do everything in their democratic right, within their democratic rights to get him out, and then you stymie those things, you are going to create the problems. My eye, it's twitching. And they also, look what they did to a sheikh.
Guys, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Hey! Come on! What the fuck? Hey!
this was done to Jewish people anywhere in the world, every politician would come out and go, this is really, really awful and anti-Semitic, and we need to crack down on it. It is incredible, genuinely incredible that this is happening. Like, well, it's not incredible in the sense of like, okay, who really didn't expect this to happen because we're losing our democracy to protect genocidal monsters like Herzog, and you're being told that this is being done to actually save poor Western Jewish people. And, like, they're literally just throwing protesters to the ground, doing as they please to them because they know they'll get away with it. Because media in Britain, in all of these countries, have worked unequivocally to claim that these are actually, like, evil anti-Semitic hate marches that make Jewish people unsafe. They obviously don't. They make supporters of Israel feel upset because they support Israel. That's where the problem lies.
What's in? Well.
It's just like, I don't know, just anything to protect Herzog. Why do you need Herzog there? It's so obviously provocative. Just don't allow this shit to happen. It should not happen.
It is utterly ridiculous.
ACAB forever and always. Indeed, Helfer Michelle. Indeed, ACAB. Fuck these guys. Fuck all of them. Aussie police are fucking crazy and rival Americans in brutality. Do they actually? Obviously, the British perception of Australia is interesting because most people think about it like... I don't even know what accent I was about to do there because I was just starting to do one of like, oh mate, I want to go over to Australia during my gap year, but that's like what British people want to do, so I should just do my own accent. Like, people here just want to go over to Australia because it's like slightly more sunny, and I actually have no doubt that Australia, like, I don't think going to a new place you're really going to find yourself. I think that ultimately you might just, the only thing I think that might sway your happiness is that you go into a space in which there's just better weather, and I think that matters. But yeah, it's really repugnant. It's really disgusting, and like also I find this weird. He was visiting schools. And by the way, as well, actually, sorry. Just don't forget, Jeffrey Epstein, Gratz, Charity, Herzog, Ehud coming to Ireland this weekend. Come, Plane 3 issue, Art Gift, Accounting House. Jesus, Jeffrey. Jeffrey needs to work on his typing, but Herzog went to the pedo island after he was convicted of being a pedo, you know. He was like, I can't find any images, which I should have saved, sorry. I really meant to, that he was visiting schools, but... The Israeli... Look, wait, let's have a listen to this Sky News report on this.
The President came to Australia to lay a wreath at the scene of the Bondi massacre and to pay his respects. And today, he went to a Jewish college where, look at these kids. They're all smiles. And this is what peace looks like. It's quite different to the Australia we saw last night.
Of course, this is what... She's correct in a sense. That's what peace looks like, because the peace that he and his country are striving for is a peace premised on the extermination and the marginalization of Palestinian people and the entire destruction of their cause.
I miss the good old days. What the heck?
Okay, I like that. I like that. I really like that, where he goes, Oh, where she just goes, I miss the good old days. I miss the good old days when we didn't have protests and anti-Semitisms. We were really peaceful towards the indigenous people, the Aboriginals. We were very nice towards them.
Has happened to this country.
Eye on Palestine shouts out. Sorry, I almost just started showing you a tweet that popped up about Chelsea, and I was like, I don't want to show you that. I want to show you this. Yeah, we're going to cover a bit of Pam Bondi. Obviously, I didn't know this was going on. I thought the bigger news would be Netanyahu with Trump, but we'll see about that.
It's of me catching you red-handed.
Red-handed? There was one redaction in.
Behind me, I have 3 documents from the DOJ production that are emblematic of the massive failure of the DOJ to comply with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. To my right is an email that was sent by the victim's lawyers to the DOJ. It was a list of names not to redact. A list of names not to release. What did the DOJ do with this email? They released this email in the document production. Literally the worst thing you could do to the survivors, you did. And they're getting phone calls. A lot of these people didn't want to be known.
What I will say is, once again, firing everyone in the government when you're trying to do one of the biggest government cover-ups in history is probably a bit of a bad idea.
And we know you touched the document because you redacted one name and you redacted the lawyer's name, but you left the survivor's name there. The next document I want to show you, that was in the title, the victims' survivors' names, all right? The title of this one is Child Sex Trafficking. Co-conspirators, fully redacted. And by the way, I'm going to unredact them here. Les Wexner is in this. Now, your your deputy attorney general said, oh, well, he appears hundreds of times in the files, but he doesn't appear in this file until I forced you to release it, where he's listed as a co-conspirator, not to tax evasion, but to child sex trafficking, not to prostitution, not to money laundering, child sex trafficking. And then finally, what we have here is the third exhibit that I have is emblematic of the FD 302 release. These are the documents that we...
What? Pam Bondi is 60. I thought you were making a little fucking joke there. Pam Bondi is 60 years old. What on earth have they been doing up in there? What on earth has been going on? How much is in her? Is her face even real at this point? Wow.
Need that you're holding on to and over-redacting because they have the names of the men who are implicated. How do we know? Because the survivors gave testimony to the FBI, and it's in there. And what happens when you go to the portal at the DOJ to look at what's behind this redaction? Another redaction. So we can't even see them. And then there's some of these files you've pulled down from the website that we will never see because we can't search the redactions. So I have several questions for you. Who's responsible? Are you able to track who in your organization made this massive failure and released the victims' names? Are you able to track who it was that obscured Les Wexner's name as a co-conspirator in an FBI document? Do you have that kind of accountability?
I believe Wexner's name was listed more than 4,000 times.
Yeah, I already told you that. This is where he's listed as a co-conspirator.
Can I finish my answer?
I really just cannot believe the level of incompetence and trotting out these weirdos to try and defend it. But maybe there's another connection to Epstein because Murtaza Hussein mentioned, wasn't Jeffrey Epstein trying to mess with the human genome? Hold on, let me see if it's on Drop Site. Sorry, I've got a really zoomed in picture of Pam Bondi here. Yeah, code breakers for the Genome Manhattan Project to hack the genetic code and develop new signals. I don't know, but maybe that's what she's hiding. That they have made her look young through some Epstein trickery.
Come on, let me finish my answer. We corrected that within 40 minutes. He was already, you're acting like everybody's trying to cover up Wexner's name.
Reclaiming my time.
I'm going to answer this question.
Reclaiming my time.
He was,
Mr. Chairman.
This is how this works.
Can I have my time back?
Mr. Chairman.
Do you think that they're not convicting them or they're not going after them because they're worried that people are going to start flipping, and then as one flips, it'll just keep on going as like a never-ending spiral? And look, Walter White could do it. He could get everyone in prison when he was hanging out with the neo-Nazi gang. But when it comes to Pam Bondi, they got neo-Nazis, but they're incompetent neo-Nazis, so maybe they can't do the prison killing of all of these people. Because they've already done one on Jeff. Jeff met his maker. Jeffrey Epstein so clearly met his maker at the hands of some powerful individual. We can estimate a lot of guesses. I think that one might make the argument that it was Trump, because I think Trump knew he would sing because he fucking hated Trump. And probably Epstein's transgression against Trump was the collection of so much information about how bad Trump actually was, and he was going to start talking about it to try and get himself back into political power. And so maybe he got whacked because of him, or maybe he got whacked because of some foreign intelligence service.
Gentlelady can give her answer. The time belongs to the gentleman from
All
Kentucky.
right, I'm reclaiming my time.
Can I give my answer?
So I'm going to put the language of the bill up on the screen.
Chairman,
Because
may
I
I
have
give my
another
answer
question.
on that?
Here's
It's a political
the question.
joke, and I need to give my answer on that.
We'll let the Attorney General respond, and then the gentleman can move to his
Chairman,
next question.
it's my time.
Within 40
Chairman.
minutes, you asked me a question.
You can give
Within
me-
40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
Red-handed. There was one redaction out
Where
of
he's
over
listed as a
4,700,
co-conspirator.
and we invited
what?
you
Show
in.
the video.
This
Show
guy
the-
has Trump
Gentlemen.
derangement syndrome. He needs
Show
to.
the
You're a
video.
failed politician.
Gentlemen,
You need to
I
get
want
on
you to
these
watch the
matters.
video.
I cannot believe that this is actually what... Because when the UK boils down into political theatre, it's normally them all going, way, funny joke, funny joke, one of us has done something horrible, funny joke. But when it comes to these people, this looks like a serious fight, but the slop of just going, yeah, okay, you've got Trump derangement syndrome is unbelievable.
Mr. Chairman, please restore his time and remind the witness of the rules here.
There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals.
Is that your position as well?
My position is any victim who comes forward, of course, we would love to hear from them. 1-800-CALL-FBI. Did you ask Merrick Garland that the last 4 years? Did you talk about Epstein?
I am reclaiming my
the
time.
last
I'm
4
glad you're
years?
asking about Merrick Garland.
You don't get to reclaim
because
time
this
when
is
you don't-
bigger than
when you can't-
Watergate.
when I don't answer a question the
This
way you
goes
want.
over 4 administrations. You don't have to go back to Biden. Let's go back to Obama. Let's go back to George Bush. This cover-up spans decades, and you are responsible for this portion of it.
Thomas Massey is launching the pedo truth nuke, I think it is fair to say. He is, he's taken the truth nuke option. Like, look, I think he could say more, but fair play. Like, this guy is going insane.
And that's
Now,
where the
I want to know, at
transparent-
what point did the FBI and the DOJ decide that Lex Wessner was not a co-conspirator?
Lex
Because
Wessner.
our Epstein Files Transparency Act requires you, please put it back on the screen, please, to release the internal decision about whether to prosecute him or not, and it's not in the files, and it's not in the files for any of these other men.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
May she answer?
And he's a hypocrite because he voted against the ban that we were talking about on deep fake AI porn. Only 2 people voted against it, and you were one of them, hypocrite.
The gentleman's time has expired.
Mr. Chairman,
I need to follow for more hearing clips. This hearing looks fucking insane, by the way. In fact, maybe we should do the whole hearing. Hold on, let's have a look how long the hearing is, because I don't want to stay on too late, because I got to do this fucking mod meeting. Pam Bondi Oh my God.
You don't want to talk about.
I talk about
murdered
her all
by. Who was that, Congresswoman?
It's still going. Pam Bondi testifies at DOJ.
You don't want to talk about.
I talk about
murdered
her all
by
the
a
time,
violent crime
but I am not here to testify.
Ability attributed longer.
To a 125-year low.
Oh my God. The YouTube chat is going crazy. You know what? We're going live with some live reporting. The YouTube chat on here is going insane.
Advises on pardons. Do you think he will be advising Mr. Trump on any kind of clemency or pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell?
I'm not going to speculate, and you couldn't even identify properly. That's why you don't want to talk about Irina Zarutska. You couldn't properly identify her relative.
Can you believe this? Oh my God. You don't want to talk about Irina Zarutska. Like, seriously? Seriously? You are in front of the court. You are in front of the DOJ, right? For an oversight hearing. Hold on, I'm just editing the title. You're in front of the court for this kind of stuff, and yet you are sat here and you are going, oh, you don't want to talk about this.
I absolutely
it's embarrassing.
Have been, and her family, by the way, appreciates all of the condolences, all of the help, everything that our law enforcement in North Carolina has been doing to help her family. Her family feels well treated. Thank you, and I yield back.
Ms. Lady yields back. Gentleman from California is recognized.
I'd ask unanimous consent to enter into the record an article by former Attorney General William P. Barr entitled, "Why Pam Bondi Didn't Publish All the Epstein Files in 30 Days." The answer is simple. It was not possible, from the Wall Street Journal.
Well said. Without objection, the gentlelady from Florida is recognized.
I read out the Wall Street Journal article.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Madam, I'm sorry. Yes. May I respond 20 seconds to something that Congresswoman Ross said?
Go right ahead.
Thank you.
Oh.
She also opposed a sex offender registry as head of North Carolina ACLU.
This is insane. I cannot believe that they thought this defense was going to work. I reckon they should have just got Kash Patel and been like, you see this guy? He's done. Kash Patel tricked us all. He is done for. We're getting rid of Kash Patel. That would have been a better idea than just going, you didn't do this, you didn't do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Attorney General. And I'd like to pick up where you left off a moment ago, because we convene here today as a committee for the stated purpose of conducting oversight of the Department of Justice. And so it's critical for us to focus first on the mission of the department and assess your success in discharging it. So the mission of the department is to enforce federal law, defend the rule of law, and protect the American people from violent crime, terrorism, drug trafficking, fraud, and exploitation, to promote public safety. And what we have heard today unequivocally is that President Trump's Department of Justice, under your leadership, Attorney General Bondi, is doing exactly that. Just a moment ago, you shared with us some incredible statistics that the United States, under your leadership, has achieved the lowest murder rate in 125 years. That in the first year of this administration, murder is down 21%, robbery is down 23%, carjacking down 43%, and gun assault down 22%. That is what public safety looks like. Under your leadership and that of President Trump, you've located more than 6,000 child victims of trafficking and exploitation.
What is this? Why is she just doing this?
1,700 child predators and apprehended more than 300 human traffickers. Significant increases. And those aren't just statistics. Those are precious lives that your department and the men and women of federal law enforcement have saved. Madam Attorney General, you've mentioned a couple of specific criminal trends during this hearing that I'd like to discuss with you further, because one of our important roles in Congress is making sure that our laws and our law enforcement...
Oh, bro, stop. Talk about fucking Epstein, man. Okay, we're going back because this woman's just seemingly...
And that's why we have to do everything in our power to protect not only young girls...
Not crisps, I'm eating popcorn.
Adult women, boys and men from...
Okay, we're going back. I want to hear them actually talk instead of just bootlick her.
18 cities, 11 states, excuse me, and Mr. Gonzalez out on the street. He is, if you're going to release me, of course, they arrested narco...
Groomer Ghislaine Maxwell,
okay,
Epstein's human trafficking ring. But to promote...
With that, I would yield to the ranking member for an opening statement.
Thank you kindly, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, Attorney General Bondi. You've got the best lawyer's job in America because your mission is justice and your clients are the American people. But to promote justice for the people, you've got to listen to the victims, like the women seated behind you today. Those are just some of the hundreds of survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's global sex trafficking ring who are demanding that the truth be told and are demanding accountability for the abusers who trafficked and raped them. You still haven't met with these survivors. So with their permission, let me...
By the way, that is fucking insane that Pam Bondi is just refusing to meet with the survivors.
Introduce to you the survivors and late survivors' family members who are present today. There's Teresa Helm, there's Jess Michaels, Laura Bloom McGee, Danny Bensky, Liz Stein, Marina Lacerda, Sky and Amanda Roberts, who are the family of the late Virginia Giuffre, Charlene Richard, and Lisa Phillips. Now, you're not showing a lot of interest in the victims, Madam Attorney General, whether it's Epstein's human trafficking ring or the homicidal governmental violence against citizens in Minneapolis. As Attorney General, you're siding with the perpetrators and you're ignoring the victims. That will be your legacy unless you act quickly to change course. You're running a massive Epstein cover-up right out of the Department of Justice. You've been ordered by
I really enjoy that this is just not at all a conspiracy, like we all know. And like online journalist sleuths have known a lot of this stuff for years, and all the Epstein files have done is prove exactly what they are saying. We have seen Kash Patel, see you in Valhalla, bro, tell absolute lies. We have seen all of these people, like we saw him go on Joe Rogan, but yet more proof that Joe Rogan is a tool of the politically powerful. New conspiracy theory, Joe Rogan grown in a lab or taken over by Trump and, I don't know, forced to make slop to defend Peter fucking Thiel and shit. That girl in the right of the screen, who is she? Is she one of the victims? I don't think so. I don't know. I think the victims are behind Bondi instead of there.
And by Congress to turn over 6 million documents, photographs, and videos in the Epstein files, but you've turned over only 3 million. You say you're not turning over the other 3 million because they're somehow duplicative, but we know that there are actual memos of victim statements in there, and you also took down the Department of Justice's prosecution memo from 2019. So it's clearly not all duplicative, but even if it were, why not release it? Just release all the duplicative stuff. In the half you did produce, you redacted the names of abusers, enablers, accomplices, and co-conspirators, apparently to spare them embarrassment and disgrace, which...
Those people would 100% be up. It is because they'll sing, right? Surely that has to be it. That they'll sing, that they'll say everything. That they know not all of them will be able to stand the pressure of just being asked over and over again.
This is the exact opposite of what the law ordered you to do. Even worse, you shockingly failed to redact many of the victims' names, which is what you were ordered to do by Congress. Some of the victims had come forward publicly, but many had not. Many had kept their torment private, even from family and friends. But you published their names, their identities, their images on thousands of pages for the world to see. So you ignored the law, and even with over 100,000 employees at your disposal, you acted with some mixture of staggering incompetence, cold indifference, and jaded cruelty towards more than 1,000 victims raped, abused, and trafficked. This performance screams cover-up Convicted sex trafficker and groomer Ghislaine Maxwell opened the gates of hell to Virginia Giuffre and hundreds of other victims, as Virginia recorded in her remarkable book, Nobody's Girl. But when Maxwell was subpoenaed to come testify before Congress, you and Todd Blanche quickly moved her from a higher security prison to a minimum security camp in Texas, where she—
That is genuinely wild that they did that.
She's enjoyed 5-star treatment, including catered meals, private gym time, and access to a therapy puppy. All because Todd Blanche, who's utterly failed to investigate the monstrous crimes of Epstein and Maxwell's co-conspirators, spent 9 hours with Maxwell and satisfied himself that she would have nothing untoward to say about Donald Trump.
By the way, that is categorically true. If you bother to read through the Ghislaine stuff, it is like insane. It's like sycophancy about Trump. It's like, yes, Donald was a gentleman every time he was around. He was a gentleman.
Which is your only real interest in the matter, based on institutional performance. But abandoning victims and coddling perpetrators is what you do best. When the FBI opened a criminal investigation into the brutal killing in Minneapolis of Renee Good, a poet and 37-year-old mother of 3, by Trump's masked paramilitary ICE agents, you shut it down. You claim you're investigating the cold-blooded murder of Alex Preddy, an ICU nurse at the VA. But how can we trust the administration when the president and Kristi Noem called Preddy a domestic terrorist and Stephen Miller called him a would-be assassin? Not only do you refuse to share evidence with the state and local investigators and prosecutors in Minnesota, you have blocked their access to the crime scene and the evidence. How are you seeking justice for Marimar Martinez, the Montessori school teacher in Chicago who was shot 5 times by a Border Patrol agent who bragged—
Bro, he is going in here.
—about it on text? Or the family of Keith Porter, a father of 2 shot and killed by an off-duty ICE agent in LA. Or the family of Silverio Villegas Gonzalez, shot and killed in Illinois minutes after he dropped his kids off at school. There's no sign of any movement at the Department of Justice. You even launched a criminal investigation into Renee Good's grieving widow. How sick is that? But it's even worse. You've turned the People's Department of Justice into Trump's instrument
Is this guy fucking sleeping? There's a guy fucking sleeping over here.
Of revenge. Trump orders up prosecutions like pizza, and you deliver every time. He tells you to go after James Comey, Letitia James, Lisa Cook, and Jerome Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve Board, and members of Congress like Adam Schiff, Mark Kelly, Alyssa Slotkin, Chrissy Houlihan, Jason Crow, Chris Deluzio, and Maggie Goodlander, to name a few, and you snap to it. You replace real prosecutors with counterfeit stooges who robotically do the president's bidding. Nothing in American history comes close to this complete corruption of the justice function and contamination of federal law enforcement. And the good news is many serious lawyers at DOJ, including some of your own original appointees, have refused your lawless orders. Danielle Sassoon, your original pick for acting U.S. Attorney in Manhattan, resigned rather than follow your corrupt order to quash an indictment against Mayor Eric Adams as a political favor from Donald Trump, a Federalist Society member who clerked for Justice.
Yeah, I genuinely cannot believe that that guy is asleep, and I think that you're right, it is Jerry Nadler. That is unbelievable that you're just sleeping at a moment like this. Like, most people would, like, love to be there. Love to be there, to have some involvement about getting some justice, but no.
Scalia, U.S. Attorney Sassoon refused to participate in this blatantly corrupt scheme. Her top assistant, Hagan Scotton, an Iraqi war vet and 2-time Bronze Star recipient who clerked for Chief Justice Roberts, and then Judge Kavanaugh, promptly resigned too, writing to your office, quote, "I expect you will eventually find someone who is enough of a fool or enough of a coward to file your motion, but it was never going to be me." You and the president nominated Eric Siebert, a 15-year career prosecutor, to be your U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia.
He's going so hard, he's got to have some damn water up in here.
But after 5 months of investigating Letitia James and James Comey, He found no evidence to justify criminal charges. So
The only mistake, or the thing that I don't like here, is him making about this anything but Epstein, because I would not give her a second without pressure on her. I mean, maybe there are people who are much smarter than I am advising him to behave differently, but I don't know, or much more legally talented than me, but I would say, I don't know. I think you should, I think you should just keep your throat boot on her throat with this.
Forced him out. You replaced him with Lindsay Halligan, Trump's personal lawyer from the Mar-a-Lago documents case, who had zero prosecutorial experience and no qualifications. And then you were humiliated when a federal judge found that this corrupt appointment was blatantly unlawful and threw out Halligan's indictments entirely. And grand juries of American citizens have repeatedly rejected your vendettas and baseless indictments brought by the hacks left at DOJ now, with 2 different grand juries in Virginia voting down indictments against Letitia James in a single week. And just yesterday, another grand jury shut down your vendetta factory by rejecting indictments against the 6 members of Congress who had spoken out to remind all service members that they have a duty to refuse illegal orders. You tried to get a grand jury to indict 6 members of Congress who are veterans of our armed forces on charges of seditious conspiracy simply for exercising their First Amendment rights. I hope you will heed the wisdom and the constitutional patriotism of those grand jurors and not try it again by doubling down on that humiliation. As your best lawyers are sacked for having participated in the January 6th case, or just flee for the exits now, your new lawyers keep lying in court. In dozens of cases, they've been excoriated for lying to federal judges. Chief Judge Boasberg, right here in D.C., suggested your Department of Justice perpetrated a fraud on the court. Other judges found your statements to be, quote, inexplicably misleading.
I kind of want to hear about the Epstein stuff. I want to know. Like, I want to hear about this.
Patently incredible, totally inconsistent, and so disingenuous that the court is left with little confidence that the government can be trusted to tell the truth about anything. Now, as ranking member, I asked the chairman to add a few extra rounds of questions today because we each have 5 hours of questions, not 5 minutes, but we're stuck with 5 minutes. That's clearly insufficient to give voice to America's victims and survivors and to demand answers about all the corruption and cover-ups that we see at DOJ right now. We've got just 1 round, so we ask you politely but firmly, Madam Attorney General, please do not waste 1 second of our precious time by evading questions, by changing the subject, or engaging in personal attacks against members of Congress. We saw your performance in the Senate, and we're not going to accept that. This isn't a game. In the Senate, you brought something with you called a burn book, a binder of...
By the way, if you make the choice not to vote, I had a professor who was like a bit libbed out and an expert in democracy, and their main comment was like, if you ever make the choice to not vote, which is fair enough, spoil your ballot. Do not just not vote. Go in and spoil your ballot. It is more of a statement than, you know, not doing anything, than just like not voting, because otherwise you become a statistic of young people not voting and they think that they can just not deal with young people. If you show that you're not voting, yeah,
smears to
it matters more.
Attack members personally for doing the people's work of oversight. Please set the burn book aside and answer our questions. And when you hear us reclaim our time, that means it's time for you to stop speaking. We only have 5 minutes, so when we reclaim our time, that means you stop. And if you don't, we will ask the chair to stop the clock and let you go on his time. The quality of justice in America depends on the character of our government. Please do your job and bring the Department of Justice back from the brink. The survivors seated behind you and the American people watching everywhere deserve a Department of Justice worthy of its name. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection, all of the opening statements will be included in the record. We will now introduce today's witness. The Honorable Pamela J. Bondi has served as the Attorney General of the United States since February 5th, 2025. She previously served in the Office of the White House Counsel, 2 terms as the Florida Attorney General, and spent more than 18 years as a prosecutor. We welcome our witness and thank her for appearing today. We will begin by swearing you in. Would you please rise and raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge, information, and belief, so help you God?
I do.
Let the record show that the witness has answered.
Some people make the argument as well that not voting doubles the vote of someone who doesn't like you, which I think there's some merit to that argument, but simultaneously, I think also voting in some ways doubles the vote of someone who doesn't give a shit about you and doesn't want change in your country, you know, or adds to that.
Answered in the affirmative. Thank you. You can be seated. And please know that your written testimony will be entered into the record in its entirety. Accordingly, we ask that you summarize your testimony. Madam Attorney General, you may begin.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Jordan, Ranking Member Raskin, and distinguished members of this committee. Thank you for hosting me here today. I'm grateful for the opportunity to answer your questions, highlight the work of our department, and discuss the most important topic of all, keeping the American people safe. A little over a year ago, I was sworn into office as the 87th Attorney General of the United States. I came into office with the goal of refocusing the Department of Justice on its core mission after
Jesus, Pam, come on.
Years of bloated bureaucracy and political weaponization. The Department of Justice's core mission is to fight violent crime, protect the American people, and defend the rules.
This is getting two times
While our work
speed.
is never done, we have made tremendous progress to make America safe again. In 2025, we saw the lowest murder rate in 125 years.
Is she autistic? Yeah, she's the first
It is utterly ridiculous.
She's the first ever neurodivergent attorney general. Everything under heaven is in utter chaos. Mao Zedong, the conditions are ripe for Americans to organize and agitate. I mean, Minnesota kind of proved that you can actually push back the Trump administration from carrying out what it wants to do through sustained, significant protest that spits in their face of what these people want to do to you, and community organized protest that actually just makes life impossible for, you know, an ICE agent to go out and exist in any kind of normal, meaningful way. And Marcus, thank you for the €5.
That's nothing short of historic. If you compare 25 to 24, here's what you'll find. The murder rate is down 21%, robbery down 23%, carjacking down 43%, gun assault down 22%.
Epstein files redactions up 100 billion%.
Assault, burglary, could go on and on. Crime is declining. This did not happen by accident. The numbers tell an important yet straightforward story. President Trump has given us the resources, the support, and the leadership to protect the American people. President Trump's policies have saved lives. I cannot think of a policy outcome more important than protecting the lives of American citizens. Can you? This trend has been especially clear in Washington, D.C. and in Memphis. These are two iconic American cities that spent years in the grip of horrific violent crime. The Department of Justice surged law enforcement resources, and the results came quickly. Crime plummeted in both cities. And I want to make one point loud and clear. We achieved those results by working with Democratic mayors. Public safety does not have a party registration. When your constituents call 911, they don't ask for political views of the responding officer. They ask for help. I have federal agents in each and every one of your districts. They're here to help, and I am here to help. Many cities and states have worked with us and taken advantage of our federal support. Some have not. Meanwhile, a few elected officials have declared that they are, quote, at war with the federal government and encouraged widespread obstruction of law enforcement. This has resulted in avoidable clashes on the streets, as you've all seen. We've seen rioters storming a Christian church. Citizens and law enforcement officers have both been endangered.
Oh my fucking God. Talk about Epstein, bro. Answer a fucking question.
By reckless rhetoric. We have made dozens of arrests in and around Minneapolis so far, and many of...
Yeah, I mean, Mao was at the end of his life and he did like what Pol Pot was doing. That's absolutely undeniable. I think many people are just also, like, impressed by the trajectory with which China went on after Mao and the way in which he rid the country of, you know, from being under the yoke of Western humiliation. And obviously that trajectory changed and he's not responsible for everything, but I mean, I wouldn't dismiss everything he ever said and did. And many revolutionary movements still take and draw inspiration from what he did.
Them could have been avoided.
But undeniably, yes, mismanagement by Mao did lead to the deaths of huge amounts of people. I don't think the amount of people that were killed is actually comparable in any way in terms of being directly done. But I wouldn't... I would also say calling him an original mass killer is pretty untrue.
By simple
because the original mass killers existed long before.
Compliance with federal law. Of course, our efforts reach beyond our urban centers. We are striking crucial blows against terrorist organizations such as MS-13, TDA, the Sinaloa Cartel, and Antifa.
God.
And as we sit here, I think you've seen the news this morning. The news is reporting that cartel drones are being shirted 27 times. We've fought through a nonstop flood of bad faith temporary restraining orders from liberal activist judges across this country. America has never seen this level of coordinated judicial opposition towards a presidential administration. It is not only an unlawful attack on the executive branch's authority, but a serious attack on the democratic process. In spite of this unprecedented judicial activism, we've attained 24 favorable rulings at the U.S. Supreme Court, their emergency docket, and even more to come. We've done so while ending the weaponization of the prior administration by dropping FACE Act prosecutions, exposing the Arctic Frost scandal via congressional disclosure, thank you, Chairman, and restoring one tier of justice in this country. To address the Epstein files.
Pam Bondi, answer a question. Oh, here we go. Pam Bondi, answer a question, level impossible.
More than 500 attorneys and reviewers spent thousands of hours painstakingly reviewing millions of pages to comply with Congress's law. We've released more than 3 million pages, including 180,000 images, all to the public.
You know, that was released today, Epstein setting up spy cameras in his house, like, and recording himself with women on them. What do you think those were for? Like, really grainy-ass spy cameras when you probably could have got a better one. It was probably one that could not be found by basically anybody.
While doing our very best in the time frame allotted by the legislation to protect victims. And if you brought us a victim's name that was inadvertently released, we immediately redacted it. All members of Congress, as you know, are invited to visit DOJ to see for yourselves. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the Epstein survivors who are here today. I'm a career prosecutor, and despite what the ranking member said, I have spent my entire career fighting for victims, and I will continue to do so. I am deeply sorry for what any victim has been through, especially as a result of that monster. If you have any information to share with law enforcement about anyone who has hurt you or abused you, the FBI is waiting to hear from you.
Unless you're abused by Trump and accuse Trump, and then you'll be discredited by the FBI and the nexus of very, very rich lawyers that, you know, that Epstein and his friends can hire.
I want you to know that any accusations of criminal wrongdoing will be taken seriously and investigated. The Department of Justice is committed to holding criminals accountable to the fullest extent of the law. In 2025, the FBI arrested over 1,700 child predators, a 10% increase from 2024. We also located 2,700 victims of child exploitation and shut down 3.8 million dark web pedophile accounts. 3.8 million. So please, if you have information to share.
And those were just the friends of people in the administration.
It needs to be investigated. Contact the FBI. Today, I look forward to discussing further our shared obligation to protect the American people, uphold the rule of law, and keep this nation safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Attorney General. The Chair, we now proceed on the 5-minute rule. The Chair recognizes the gentleman from California for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam General, thank you for your extensive remarks, particularly on your continued investigation of those responsible over the years in the Epstein debacle. Obviously, you have an amazingly full docket between civil rights, between criminal, between so-called white-collar crime, and doing so, as the chairman said, at a time in which both you and the president are under attack, and our ICE agents and FBI and others are under attack when they try to...
Fucking hell. I don't even know if it's just better to go through, like, people who are actually posting interesting stuff. Like, stuff that's actually of use. Like, because it's just... Okay, wait.
She wants to continue to talk about Minnesota, which we will all day long, as she doesn't want to talk about her own jurisdiction in Atlanta, because she doesn't want to talk about Christopher Welcher, who traveled across state lines to try to meet, and nothing's funny about this, to meet and molest a 14-year-old girl in Georgia. That's why they're watching the clock. The American people should know. For the second it runs out, because they don't want to address anything in their jurisdiction. They're elected to represent people in their jurisdiction. We prosecuted illegal aliens who ran a large-scale
Is this really
meth
all she's going to
operation
do?
in the Atlanta metro area.
You understand we don't prosecute,
Thank you.
right, Ms. Bondi?
Madam Attorney
And-
General,
On the law,
I'm sorry, thank
Mr.
you.
McClintock.
So yes, the statistics I spoke of earlier,
This is outrageous, to be honest.
ma'am.
thank you.
Let's hear the opposition research.
Thank you. That's absolutely right, that they're not running for, he's not running for office again because, well, I don't know why you're not running for office again, but after the filing deadline,
Oh, God. Anything but talking about Epstein. Generals in our history, you're an instrument of Trump. Merrick Garland say anything about Epstein?
didn't ask Merrick Garland anything about Epstein, not once, when he was—
Weak sauce.
What the fuck? Why is she saying weak sauce?
And also, I want the record to reflect that, you know, with this anti-Semitic culture right now, she voted against a resolution condemning.
Oh,
is
Jewish. I just want to be clear.
Oh,
Do you want to go there, Attorney General?
I like this lady. She's the one who said that. She was the one who was interviewed by Dropsite, and they were like, "What's in the Epstein files?" And she goes, "Bunch of sick fucks."
Or do you want to go there? Are you serious? Talking about anti-Semitism to a woman who lost her grandfather in the Holocaust? Really?
The committee will be in order.
Talk to Jared Wise about anti-Semitism.
The ranking member knows that.
Can I get like 30 seconds back, you know?
Yeah, I've been.
Ballant took
I think
30
the whole.
of mine.
Didn't ask me.
Ooh, Christ! There's interesting. Weak source.
Aware of Secretary Lutnick's ties?
Vermont.
Was the president aware of Secretary Lutnick's ties to Epstein when he chose him to lead the Department of Commerce? Was he aware?
Chris Malin was a Border Patrol agent.
Okay, so I'm going to conclude that the president, in fact, did know about his ties because he was the next door neighbor.
Shame on you.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
You're
this
from
is
a tiny,
pathetic.
beautiful
This is
state.
pathetic, Mr. Chair.
This woman, this Pam Bondi woman, is fucking insane. This is genuinely. I think that this should be premised on the fact of if you behave in this kind of way, you should not be allowed, like, you should be held to account, like, you should just be arrested straight after this. If you're gonna sit here and in response to serious questions about the biggest pedophile conspiracy news that we have ever seen and just go, yeah, you're from a beautiful state, what do you even say? Like, what do you even say? You cannot keep your job after that.
Be in order.
I am not asking trick questions here. The
got your
American
5
people
minutes.
have a right to know the answers to this. These are senior officials in the Trump administration. This is not a game, Secretary.
I'm Attorney General.
My apologies, I couldn't tell.
I know it's very parliament coded, and I know these people are politicians, but I got to admit, she's kind of funny. Balin is funny.
By 2008, we knew that Epstein was a convicted sexual abuser. And we now know that Lutnick went to Epstein's Island in 2012. How was that not a deal breaker for the president?
Vermont.
I wonder how.
Chris Malin is?
Senior, there is. We have evidence.
Do you know who Chris Malin is?
We have evidence that 3 senior officials within the Trump administration have ties to Jeffrey Epstein. And what
does ties mean?
I can conclude
What does
from what
ties
you are
mean?
saying that you have not talked to them.
What does ties mean? Can
I
you
think
define
Americans would be shocked to learn that you are not interested in talking with these officials who have ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
What does
across
ties
the
mean?
world,
Can you define that?
across the world,
Can you
prominent
define
men
ties?
who've been
Time
exposed
belongs to the
in the files have resigned their jobs in disgrace, and that's a good first start. And that same
Disgrace is
standard,
not saying the word
this
Chris
same
Malin.
standard should apply here. And Americans want accountability.
Who is Chris Malin?
Was the president
he?
aware? Please stop talking. It is not your time to ask
was he?
questions. It is not your time. I'm reclaiming my time, Mr. Chair.
One second.
Time belongs to the gentlelady from Vermont.
Was the president
Is this lady affiliated with Bernie in any way?
Yes or no, has the Justice Department asked Secretary Lutnick about his ties to Epstein?
Excuse me. Secretary Lutnick has addressed those ties himself.
I'm asking you, has the Justice Department specifically asked Secretary Lutnick about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein?
He has addressed those ties himself.
Has the DOJ asked Secretary Phelan about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein?
I don't know whether he has
Define Epstein.
addressed those or not.
Has the Deputy Secretary Feinberg talked to the Department of Justice about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein? Yes or no? Has the Department of Justice talked to Deputy Secretary Feinberg about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein, which are clearly spelled out in the files? It's a very simple question. It's not a trick question. I'm just asking you.
Yeah, I'm stunned that you want to continue talking about.
Oh my gosh.
Epstein
Okay,
instead
I'm
of a
reclaiming
Border
my
Patrol
time. I'm
agent
asking you, not a trick
This lady is outrageous, Pam Bondi.
question, a simple question.
Howard Lutnick is a great man
Yes or no,
who defended himself brilliantly and is not a pedo and didn't lie. He addressed them himself. Howard Lutnick did not do anything problematic. He's not done anything wrong. And yeah, they asked her. By the way, she's been asked about the Ghislaine Maxwell. Wait. She's asked in this. This is Ross, Miss Ross.
Does a convicted sex offender like Ghislaine Maxwell deserve special treatment and privileges in prison? Yes or no?
Let me be crystal clear on this. No. And
Thank you.
let me keep
Perfect.
going. No, let me keep going.
Perfect. Well, I
did not know she was being transferred.
I asked you yes or no.
She was
and
not
I'm
transferred to a
time.
lower
Mr. Chairman,
level.
please stop the clock and remind the witness of the rules. One rule she needs to
And
understand
I'm glad
here.
that we're agreeing. So when we're agreeing, we can move on to some other things.
When
But
we're
I
not
want you to
agreeing,
know that every time she does get these perks, and it's been publicly reported, that the folks she's abused, the survivors who are sitting here, they see themselves as being denied justice. They feel re-traumatized. And I'm glad that we agree on that. But she should not be in that prison. And she needs to be moved back to a maximum security prison as soon as possible. But what she is told...
I think Ghislaine should say, "Yeah, I'll sing if you let me stay in this other prison."
Told another committee here is that she won't cooperate with them unless she gets clemency from Donald Trump. It's just crazy to consider that she can be wielding this kind of influence within the administration. But that begs the question, who ordered her to be transferred to the minimum security prison that she was ineligible for?
Oh, who is it? Who is it?
Off on the special privileges. Was it Mr. Blanche? Was it one of your other subordinates? So please, can you tell us who sent her there, since you don't agree she should be there?
I said I do not agree she should receive special treatment. She was transferred, I learned after the fact, to the same level facility, and that is a question for the Bureau of Prisons. I was not involved in that at all. The same level facility, I don't know why, but you know, instead of...
How can you not know why? How can that be a defense? How?
Talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, who hopefully will die in prison. Hopefully will die in prison. You should be talking about Irina Zarutska.
I have a couple of
died
other
on a subway.
Right, and
I would tell her to shut up. I would genuinely tell her to shut up. I would be like, you cannot start talking about this. You don't give a shit about her. You don't give a shit about anything. Like, this is pure just nonsense.
I absolutely...
You don't talk about that.
I have been
Maybe her and Hegseth met up before and had a few drinks.
talking about it and actually helping with these issues. But we're going to move back to you.
I bet we are.
Yes, of course, because you're here to testify. That's what the whole point of this endeavor is. So, of course, we're moving back to you. It is all about you. So...
Oh.
The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan, Mr. Jordan.
The committee will be in order.
Mr. Jordan, am I going to get an extra 45 seconds added to my time?
The committee will be in order. The time belongs.
It's fucking crazy that there are all of these Republicans up here to, like, ask soft questions to her so she doesn't have to be asked about anything serious. It's actually fucking mental.
To the gentleman from Texas, Ms. Bondi, the Attorney General can respond.
Thank you. The Dow has shattered 50,000 for the first time. This is crazy. They said it couldn't be done in 4 years, yet President Trump has done it in 1 year.
This is just, what a strategy. Arslick Trump. Unbelievable. Just go up and say, I love Donald Trump. Hold on, I want to see Pramila J-Pals.
We are joined in this room by some of the thousands of survivors from Jeffrey Epstein's horrific sex trafficking ring. They have shown such incredible courage in speaking out, in demanding accountability to bring the predators and pedophiles to justice.
Yeah, it's also, like, I ain't gonna lie, this is like Mandelson saying, I was gay, so I was kept away from Epstein's badness. And then just these people going, Pam Bondi going, yeah, I actually really love the Dow Jones, so that's kind of like good.
The Epstein Files Transparency Act required your Department of Justice to disclose the perpetrators connected with Epstein's criminal activities and to redact the information of survivors to protect their identities. Let me show you what actually happened. First, in violation of the law, your department has shown a pattern of redacting the names of powerful predators. Here behind me is one example of an email from Epstein to a man whose name was redacted.
By the way, I made a TikTok about this because I'm a TikToker again. This is one of the most powerful men in the United Arab Emirates. Genuinely someone who has helped to expand the UAE's influence all over the MENA region. By the way, tomorrow we're going to be doing, I think I'm going to do an Epstein episode with someone else. Lewis Aaron's going to come on because Lewis Aaron has been talking loads about whether Epstein orchestrated a coup in the UK. So we got that tomorrow. So I know some of you don't want to hear so much about like the worst like abuses. It won't be abuse heavy. It'll be talking about like you know, his the political actions undertaken by him and Bannon. And yeah, I guess you're right. I think that maybe you're right. It is a thinly veiled threat about like, we're going to crash the markets if you don't do this. And she realizes what most of these people actually care about.
The email reads, quote, "Where are you? Are you okay? I loved the torture video." Only after members of Congress demanded that we see the unredacted files did the world learn the name of this individual, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, the chairman and CEO of a company that had financial ties to President Trump's business and personal ties to Trump's advisor, Steve Bannon. Second, the survivors were not similarly protected, also in violation of the law. Here is another email titled Epstein Victim List. We have blurred the names of the survivors for their protection, but your Department of Justice initially released this list of 32 survivors' names with only one name redacted, along with numerous files that disclose not only the names, the emails, and the addresses of survivors, but also nude photographs and even the identities of Jane Does who had been protected for decades until your department released their names. Survivors are now telling us that their families are finding out for the first time that they were trafficked by Epstein. In their words, quote, This release does not provide closure. It feels like a deliberate attempt to intimidate survivors, punish those who came forward, and reinforce the same culture of secrecy that allowed Epstein's crimes to continue for decades.
It is actually crazy how these people talk about this, but they're just as kind of complicit because they had a whole administration to do this.
To the survivors in the room, if you are willing, please stand. And if you are willing, please raise your hands if you have still not been able to meet with this Department of Justice. Please know for the record that every single survivor has raised their hand. Attorney General Bondi, you apologized to the survivors in your opening statement for what they went through at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. Will you turn to them now and apologize for what your Department of Justice has put them through with the absolutely unacceptable release of the Epstein files and their information?
Well, actually, the Dow Jones is up, y'all, and we caught a pedo, so, yeah, no.
Congresswoman, you sat before Merrick Garland sat in this chair twice.
Attorney General Bondi,
No, can I finish my answer?
No, I'm going to reclaim my time because I asked you a specific question that I would like you to answer, which is, will you turn to the survivors? This is not about anybody that came before you. It is about you taking responsibility for your Department of Justice and the harm that it has done to the survivors who are standing.
Yeah, also, every statistic that these people reel off about any betterment of people's lives is basically done through manipulation and huge amounts of people being fired. That's how they're doing it, massaging statistics and firing huge amounts of people who may be able to speak out.
Standing right behind you and are waiting for you to turn to them and apologize for what your Department of Justice has done.
Members get to ask the questions, the witness gets to answer in the way they want to answer. The Attorney General can
that's
respond.
Not accurate, Mr. Chairman.
Because she doesn't like the answer.
Time.
So,
Mr. Chairman,
why
I have asked
didn't she ask Merrick Garland this?
I am reclaiming my time, and when I will reclaim my time, it is
Mr. Chairman, the gentlelady's reclaimed her time.
I'm not going to get in the gutter for her theatrics.
The time belongs to the gentlelady. The gentlelady has 17 seconds.
Thank you. You're not going to answer this question, so let me just
Chairman,
say this.
I'll direct it to
what
you.
a massive
No, I'm
cover-up.
answering a question.
Chairman, will you restore her time? The witness is interrupted.
I'm not going to get in the gutter with this woman.
Stop the
She's
time
doing theatrics.
and let me have my
The
time.
gentlelady from Washington controls the time.
Have you ever been to the Dow Jones? You've never been to the Dow Jones.
Lady has 17 seconds. You can proceed with your final 17 seconds.
What a massive cover-up this has been and continues to be. Donald Trump made the release of the Epstein files the center of his political campaign because he thought it would benefit him. Then you got into office, Attorney General, claimed to have a client list, only to then say that there was no list.
You know, by the way, I don't think it was central, because whenever he gave an answer on it, he was like, yeah, we'll look into that to get them released. But he did talk about the JFK files a lot and such.
Your deputy, Todd Blanche, met alone with Elaine Maxwell and transferred her to a minimum security prison. And now you continue the cover-up. And I wish that you would turn around to the survivors who are standing right behind you and on a human level,
Chairman,
the chair now recognizes the chair.
And what you have done.
The time of the gentlelady expired. The gentlelady, you have no time to yield back. We appreciate that. We appreciate the thought. And I would argue the central issue in the last election, the presidential election, was securing the border. The gentleman from Arizona who knows something about securing the border is up.
How is Jim Jordan the chair? Like, he's a Republican, right? How on earth is he the chair?
For 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Attorney General Bondi, for being here today. In 2022, Lafarge, which is a French cement company, pled guilty in U.S. federal court to participating in a criminal conspiracy with ISIS. That conspiracy contributed to the deaths of U.S. service.
You know what? I am gonna end this now because I've got to do the mod meeting this evening, and there's so much obfuscation that I'm gonna wait till something more concise comes out. I just want to say thank you all for coming. Thank you all for donating, supporting, becoming members. Just generally thank you all. I will see you guys tomorrow. I will be streaming. On Friday, there will be no stream, obviously, because on Friday it'll be I'll be doing No Politic here. So I hope you have a lovely rest of the day, and thank you all for being here. Yeah, lovely to see you guys. Thank you. Stream the mod meeting for transparency. Okay, bro.